Welcome to Mr. Sleepy Stories. Tonight, we'll have a gentle chat about wolves. Out there, beneath the quiet moonlight, wolves move like drifting shadows across snow and forest. They are not the creatures of fear that stories once made them to be, but families bound by loyalty, warmth, and quiet intelligence. Wolves speak through soft howls that roll across valleys, through gentle choughs of peace, and through their graceful rhythm with the land. Every movement has meaning, every sound a purpose. They teach their young with patience, rest curled together for warmth, and greet one another with affection that feels almost human. So as you settle in tonight, we'll wander calmly through their world, through forests that smell of pine, through snow that glows silver beneath their paws, and learn how the wild, even in its stillness, hums with kindness and connection. If you enjoy what I do here, please like, subscribe, and share your experiences with this video topic in the comments below. I'd love to read your stories and hear how these calming facts help you relax before bed. When two wolves meet, there's no loud bark or wild display. Instead, they approach each other slowly, tails relaxed, eyes gentle. Their noses brush together, their muzzles press softly, a moment of calm recognition. Through that simple act, they breathe in the story of one another. A wolf's scent can tell everything: where its packmate has been, what it has eaten, whether it's tired, frightened, or content. It's their way of saying, "You're safe, you belong." This greeting isn't rushed. Sometimes they linger like that for several seconds, quietly exchanging invisible information written in scent. Scientists have found that wolves can recognize individuals purely by smell, even after long separation. To them, scent is memory, emotion, and family all at once. Humans shake hands, embrace, or share a smile. Wolves do the same, only their language is made of breath and fur. When you see two wolves touching faces, you're watching affection, trust, and reassurance bundled into one simple ritual. It's how they confirm that the bond still holds, even after days apart or long journeys through the snow. Among wolves, peace isn't made with words. It's made with quiet gestures like this: a brush of faces, a deep inhale, and a shared exhale under the open air. In that moment, the forest fades away, and all that remains is connection. It's one of nature's softest greetings, a reminder that sometimes the gentlest touch says everything. On a silent winter night, when snow blankets the world, and every tree stands motionless, a sound rises, long, low, and hauntingly beautiful: the wolf's howl. It floats through the frozen air like music meant only for the moon. What makes it so remarkable is how far it can travel. Up to 10 miles when the air is still and the snow muffles every other sound. Science gives us a reason. Cold air is dense, and sound waves travel more smoothly through it. Snow-covered ground reflects the sound upward and outward, carrying that voice farther than it could on a warm summer night. But to the wolves, it's not about acoustics, it's about presence. A howl isn't a cry of loneliness or threat. It's a declaration of belonging. It says, "I'm here. Are you near?" Each pack has its own tone, a signature harmony that tells others who they are. Sometimes one wolf begins, and others join in, weaving a chorus that rises and falls like waves on a dark sea. Pups often listen quietly, learning the family melody that they'll one day sing. For humans, the sound might feel eerie, but to wolves, it's peace. It's how they stay connected when distance separates them. On nights when you hear that sound echoing through the cold, imagine it not as a warning, but as a lullaby written by nature itself, a song to remind every wandering heart that it is not alone beneath the stars. For a wolf, family isn't just a word, it's survival, comfort, and home. Every pack moves like one living heartbeat. They hunt together, sleep together, raise pups together, and share food side by side. So when one wolf is separated, something inside the group changes. The forest may seem the same, but the silence feels heavier. Researchers have watched wolves pace restlessly when a packmate disappears. Some sit at the den's edge for hours, ears twitching at every sound. Others whimper softly, sniffing the air as if searching for a familiar scent that isn't there. In captivity, wolves have even refused to eat when a close companion dies or is taken away, a quiet protest of grief that mirrors the way humans sometimes lose their appetite after heartbreak. Their bonds are not built on command or hierarchy, but on trust and rhythm. Each wolf knows its place in the group not by fear, but by belonging. They depend on one another for far more than hunting. They depend on each other emotionally. Scientists now recognize that wolves show genuine signs of mourning, loyalty, and empathy. It's comforting, in a way, to know that even in the wild, love has weight. When wolves reunite after separation, the joy is unmistakable. Tails wagging wildly, bodies pressing together, small cries of relief echoing in the air. They don't need words to say, "I missed you." Their actions speak in the language of devotion. The bond of a wolf pack reminds us that connection isn't weakness, it's strength. In the coldest forests, where life can be harsh, their greatest warmth comes not from fur or fire, but from family. When the night grows cold and snow drifts quietly across the forest, a wolf doesn't search for shelter or fire. Instead, it makes its own comfort. You'll often find them curled tightly into small, perfect circles, their nose tucked beneath a thick, furry tail. To anyone watching, it might look like a gesture of sleepiness or coziness, but it's actually a small masterpiece of nature's design. By curling up, the wolf protects its vital organs and conserves body heat. The tail, soft and dense, acts as a living scarf. When it drapes across the nose, it traps warm air from each breath, creating a pocket of gentle heat. Every inhale is warmed before it enters the lungs, and every exhale adds to that tiny cocoon of warmth. It's an instinctive survival method, simple, silent, and effective, learned not through thought, but through generations of life in the cold. Their thick double coat adds another layer of protection. The outer guard hairs repel snow, while the dense underfur traps warmth close to the skin. Together with that curled posture, it allows wolves to sleep soundly even in sub-zero blizzards, sometimes waking to find themselves dusted in snow like a quiet sculpture of rest. Humans do something similar without realizing it. We pull blankets close, turn onto our sides, and bury our faces into warmth when winter nights creep in. The wolf just does it with the elegance of instinct. In those frozen hours before dawn, when the world is still and quiet, a sleeping wolf embodies peace, wrapped in its own fur, breathing softly, surrounded by silence and snow. It's a reminder that even in the wildest places, there's comfort in the smallest gestures. When moonlight filters through the trees and the forest lies in silence, a wolf's eyes begin to shimmer. Sometimes it's a faint green, sometimes golden like the heart of a candle flame. It's not magic, though it certainly feels that way. This gentle glow comes from a thin layer inside their eyes called the tapetum lucidum, Latin for bright carpet. It's a mirror-like surface that bounces light back through the retina, giving the wolf a second chance to see what others would miss in the dark. For humans, night is full of shadows and guessing shapes. But for wolves, the world after sunset still holds clarity. Every flicker of a branch, every movement in snow, every glint of starlight reflects into those luminous eyes. Even when light is scarce, their vision stretches far into the gray, letting them move gracefully where most creatures would stumble. That faint shimmer is also why, when you catch a wolf's gaze at night, it seems almost supernatural. The eyes return your look with a glow that feels alive, not threatening, but deeply ancient. It's nature's way of showing how perfectly this animal belongs to its world. The tapetum lucidum isn't unique to wolves. Many nocturnal animals have it, but few wear it with such quiet majesty. It gives their eyes an otherworldly depth, as though they carry a piece of the moon inside them. If you ever imagine a wolf standing beneath the night sky, eyes glowing softly between the trees, think of it not as something haunting, but something peaceful. It's a reflection of light meeting life, a small miracle that lets them walk confidently through the darkness that would blind us. If you listen closely to a chorus of howling wolves, you might think they all sound the same, a single haunting melody echoing through the night. But to another wolf, every voice in that chorus is as distinct as a familiar face. Each wolf has its own pitch, rhythm, and tone, a kind of natural signature that sets it apart. Their howls are their identity, a voice print that tells the pack exactly who's calling. Scientists have studied recordings of wolf howls and found that even packs with dozens of members can recognize each other's voices from miles away. Some wolves have higher tones that rise gently, like a question whispered to the wind. Others carry deep, resonant calls that roll through valleys like thunder made of breath. No two are ever quite the same. When a lone wolf howls, it's not just calling into emptiness, it's announcing itself to the family it hopes will answer. Those distant howls in reply are like names being spoken softly across the wilderness. I hear you. I know you. This exchange keeps the pack connected, even when the land between them is wide and silent. The individuality of their howls serves both heart and survival. It helps them find each other, avoid confusion, and maintain harmony within the group. But beyond the science, there's something deeply moving about it, that even in a world of instinct and snow, each wolf's voice matters. It's a reminder that identity isn't just a human concept. In the quiet of the forest, beneath cold stars and drifting mist, every creature has its own song, and for the wolf, that song can carry farther than the eye can see, a beautiful echo of belonging. When a wolf howls, it isn't just making noise. There's a kind of language hidden inside the sound, one built not from words, but from feeling. Wolves can tell the difference between a howl that says, "I'm lost," and one that says, "Come play." Their ears don't just hear the sound, they feel the emotion woven through it. A lonely howl is often long and drawn out, with a trembling pitch that carries sadness across the open air. When other wolves hear it, they sometimes respond softly, matching the tone, as if offering comfort from afar. A playful howl, on the other hand, rises and falls in quick, excited bursts, the kind you might hear when a pack gathers before a hunt or during a reunion. And a mournful howl, low and heavy, spreads through the forest like a sigh. Wolves have been seen lifting their heads together after a packmate's death, their voices blending into a shared note of grief. To humans, these signs might all blend into one haunting song, but to wolves, each variation holds meaning. Their ability to sense emotion in another's howl shows a depth of empathy that mirrors our own. It's how they stay connected not only in distance, but in feeling. In many ways, the wolf's howl is like music, capable of carrying sadness, joy, love, and longing without a single word. When you hear it echoing across a quiet landscape, remember that what you're hearing isn't just communication. It's emotion made into sound, a bridge between hearts under the open sky, where even silence listens. In the quiet heart of a den, far from the wind and moonlight, a mother wolf lies still. Around her, tiny pups wiggle and stretch, their small bodies covered in soft, downy fur. After a long day of play or nursing, they search for the warmest, safest place to rest, and they almost always find it the same way. One by one, they curl up on their mother's front paws, tucking their noses into her fur until they drift into sleep. To a wolf pup, those paws mean everything: their warmth, heartbeat, and home. The scent of their mother tells them they're safe. Her slow, steady breathing becomes a lullaby. Scientists believe this closeness helps regulate the pup's body temperature and heartbeat, the same way human babies calm when held against a parent's chest. That gentle rise and fall, that steady rhythm, reminds them of life's first sound, the heartbeat they once heard from inside the womb. The mother wolf rarely moves during these moments. Even when her paws begin to ache, she stays still, eyes half closed, listening to the soft breaths of her sleeping young. Her warmth seeps into them, and in return their trust flows back to her, a silent exchange older than language itself. When morning comes and sunlight filters through the den entrance, the pups will stretch, yawn, and tumble into play again. But for that brief stretch of night, everything is still. The forest rests, the pack sleeps, and the mother watches over her children, the smallest hearts safe beneath her own. It's a simple act, yet it holds the entire story of care. That love, in every species, begins with warmth, touch, and a piece of sleeping close to someone who will never let you fall. If you ever follow a trail of wolf tracks in deep snow, you might notice something curious. The paw prints fall in a perfect line, one after another, as if made by a single animal. But look closer, and you'll realize it's the work of an entire pack. Wolves walk in single file through snow, each one stepping exactly where the wolf before it has walked. It's a quiet masterpiece of cooperation, learned not through words or command, but instinct. The lead wolf, often the strongest or most experienced, takes the hardest role, breaking through the fresh snow first. Each step carves a path that others can follow with ease. The wolves behind place their paws carefully into those same prints, conserving energy and keeping the trail narrow. This formation allows the pack to move more quietly, more efficiently, and with less exhaustion across long distances. The line also serves a protective purpose. By blending their tracks, wolves make it harder for prey or rivals to tell how many of them there are. It's nature's version of camouflage, written in footprints and silence. Every few miles, the lead wolf might fall back, and another will take its place, a subtle rotation that keeps the group strong and balanced. No one wolf carries the burden alone for too long. In that snowy stillness, their teamwork feels almost human, a reminder that survival often depends not on competition, but on care and rhythm. Watching wolves move this way, one step inside another's feels like watching trust itself in motion. It's a quiet image of unity, many hearts, one path, pressing forward together through winter's long, white breath. A wolf's paws are small marvels of natural engineering. Broad, strong, and covered in thick fur, they work like built-in snowshoes, spreading the wolf's weight across soft snow so it can travel gracefully where other animals might struggle. When a wolf walks, its toes splay slightly outward, creating a larger surface area that keeps it from sinking too deep. It's one of those quiet adaptations you'd never notice unless you watched closely, a simple design shaped perfectly by the world it lives in. Each paw has tough pads that protect against ice, stones, and frozen ground. Between the pads, fine tufts of fur act as insulation, keeping warmth in and frost out. In deep snow, this natural footwear allows wolves to move silently for miles without leaving deep trails or tiring quickly. It's the same principle humans discovered when inventing snowshoes, spreading pressure so the earth carries you gently instead of swallowing you whole. Their paws are also flexible. In winter, they expand wide to grip the snow. In summer, they contract for running over solid ground. They can sense texture and vibration through the pads, allowing wolves to detect subtle shifts in the earth, a quiet language of terrain that helps them move with balance and confidence. Sometimes, after a storm, you might find a trail of perfect paw prints winding through untouched white. Each mark tells a quiet story of survival through design, of movement made effortless. It's proof that nature thinks of everything, even in the smallest details. The wolf doesn't need boots or tools to travel through the harshest season. It carries its solution at the ends of its legs, soft, strong, silent. A reminder that the world gives every creature what it needs to keep going. For a wolf, the world is written in scent. Long before it sees or hears something, it already knows it's there, carried to it on a breath of wind. A wolf's nose is astonishingly powerful, able to detect smells from more than 1.5 miles away. What we think of as empty air is, to them, filled with stories. Each scent trail tells who passed by, when, and in what mood. A wolf's nose holds around 300 million scent receptors, nearly 100 times more than a human's. With that, it can tell the difference between the faint trace of a deer that passed hours ago and the fresh path of one just ahead. It can separate the smell of a packmate from dozens of others, recognize its own territory, or even sense approaching storms through subtle changes in the air. But scent isn't only about survival. It's also about connection. Wolves recognize one another through smell, just as humans do by face or voice. The scent of a packmate carries comfort and familiarity and belonging. When wolves greet one another by touching noses or brushing faces, they're not just identifying, they're remembering. In snowy forests and wind-swept plains, this invisible world of fragrance becomes their compass. While humans rely on sight, wolves live guided by air, following trails of life we can't perceive. It's a form of awareness that turns every gust of wind into a message, every leaf into a memory. So when you picture a wolf lifting its nose toward the breeze, eyes half closed, it's not just sniffing, it's listening in its own way, reading an unseen map drawn by the breath of the earth, where every scent carries a heartbeat and every breath tells a story. In the vast silence of the wilderness, a wolf's ears are its early warning system, its guide and its lifeline. Long before a rivaled pack appears, a wolf already knows they're out there, carried to it through layers of wind and distance. A wolf can hear another's howl from more than 6 miles away, even through forests and valleys. What's remarkable isn't just the distance, it's the precision. Their hearing is so fine-tuned that they can detect slight changes in pitch and direction. When a rival pack howls, the listening wolves can tell not only where it's coming from, but how many voices there are, and even whether the tone carries challenge or calm. To them, Sound isn't just noise, it's information, it's survival. The world helps them listen too. In cold air, sound waves travel farther and faster, especially at night when the wind stills. On a winter evening, when the forest holds its breath, a single howl can echo endlessly, bending through canyons and floating over frozen lakes. Wolves lift their heads, ears rotating slightly, capturing every vibration. A low growl in the distance might mean danger. A steady, rhythmic howl might signal another pack simply claiming space. But wolves don't always respond with aggression. Often they simply listen and choose another direction. It's an unspoken agreement between neighbors. We hear you. We'll stay clear. In a world ruled by instinct, such awareness keeps peace as much as it prevents hunger. The wolf's ears are not just sharp, they're wise. It allows them to live by listening, to survive without confrontation. And in that deep stillness between howls, you can almost hear the wilderness breathe, a vast, echoing calm that connects one heart to another, miles apart. Snow gathers around the still form of a wolf, and the forest seems to pause. Nearby, the rest of the pack stands in a loose circle, heads lowered, bodies quiet. One of them steps forward, nuzzles the fallen fur gently, and releases a soft, trembling howl. Others join, not in unison, but in low, uneven tones that carry a deep ache. These are not calls of warning or triumph. They're songs of remembrance. Researchers who have witnessed this scene describe it as unmistakably emotional. Wolves linger near the body, sniffing, nudging, or simply lying down beside it. Some remain for hours, refusing to leave. Their howls become slower, quieter, almost like whispers that fade into the night. Eventually they depart, but never in haste. There's a weight in their movement, as if they understand something final has taken place. This behavior is more than instinct. It reveals a capacity for empathy and memory that mirrors our own. Within a pack, bonds run deep. Every hunt, every journey, every shared meal builds connection. When one of them is gone, the rhythm breaks. The silence that follows is more than absence, it's grief made visible. Humans have rituals for mourning, candles, songs, gentle goodbyes. Wolves have their own. The stillness, the lingering scent, the soft howl that fades into night. There is comfort in knowing that even in the wildest corners of the earth, love and loss are understood without language. The wolf's farewell reminds us that emotion isn't a human invention. It's part of life itself, echoing across species, across time, and across the cold, beautiful silence of the forest. A wolf lowers its head to a mountain stream, and the world around it seems to hold its breath. Its reflection ripples for a moment, then stills again as the wolf begins to drink, not with greedy gulps, but with slow, rhythmic laps of its tongue. Each motion is careful, quiet, and deliberate. The sound is soft enough to be mistaken for the whisper of the current itself. Unlike many animals that drink in haste, wolves take their time. They never gulp, never break the surface with splashes. Every lick gathers just enough water to fill the mouth, and the jaw moves gently, steady as breath. This patience has purpose. By drinking slowly, the wolf keeps its senses sharp. It can lift its head at any instant if danger approaches, its ears already tuned to the faintest shift in sound. The method also helps conserve warmth in freezing conditions. Gulping cold water would drop their body temperature, but licking, slow and measured, lets them drink without shock. Even here, in a simple act of thirst, the wolf's body and instincts move in perfect balance. Sometimes a whole pack will drink together this way, each taking turns along the edge of the stream. No noise, no rush, only the soft rhythm of tongues against water and the murmuring of the flow beneath. It's easy to overlook something so small, yet it reveals a truth about their nature. The wolf does nothing without awareness. Even at rest, it listens to the earth, feels the air, and moves as part of its surroundings. In that quiet moment by the stream, the animal and the world become one, both calm, both alive, both flowing. As winter fades and the air begins to soften, the wolf's thick winter coat begins to loosen. Tufts of fur cling for a while before drifting away on the breeze like pale gray feathers. What looks like simple shedding is actually a quiet transformation, the slow changing of seasons written across the wolf's body. Beneath the heavy guard hairs lies a dense, woolly undercoat that kept it warm through snow and storm. Now that layer has done its job, and nature tells the wolf it's time to let it go. Each shake of the body sends small clouds of fur into the air, landing on rocks, grass, and fallen leaves. Birds notice first. Ravens, sparrows, and warblers swoop down to gather the soft tufts, tucking them gently into their nests. Even tiny mammals like mice and voles carry bits of wolf fur into their burrows. The same warmth that once guarded the hunter now cradles new life. The shedding isn't random. It follows the rhythm of light and temperature. In spring, wolves lose the thickest part of their coat, leaving a sleeker layer for summer. When the cold returns, their fur thickens again, ready for the long nights ahead. It's a natural cycle of giving and renewal, one that quietly supports countless lives beyond their own. There's something soothing about this simple exchange. A wolf, unaware, helping the forest rebuild after winter. The fur it leaves behind becomes the lining for tiny eggs and newborns, a bridge between predator and prey that reminds us how closely everything in nature is woven together. Even in the wildest lives, there is softness, and even in shedding, there is generosity. In the language of wolves, ears speak as clearly as voices. A slight tilt forward, a backward fold, a twitch to the side. Each movement carries its own message. To an outside observer, these gestures might seem too small to matter, but within the pack, they are as meaningful as words. When a wolf's ears stand tall and forward, it signals focus or curiosity. That posture often appears during a hunt or when a distant sound catches attention. Flattened ears, drawn back against the head, tell a different story, one of calm submission or reassurance, a way to show respect toward another wolf. During tense moments, a dominant wolf may hold its ears high and rigid, asserting confidence without aggression. Wolves are masters of silence. Instead of constant noise, they rely on expressions, posture, and motion. Their ears, so mobile and sensitive, become tools of conversation, adjusting every second to match mood and moment. It's through these small, nearly invisible gestures that order is maintained and harmony preserved. Humans communicate much the same way without realizing it. A raised eyebrow, a lowered gaze, a gentle nod. The difference is that wolves do it with fur and muscle, guided by instinct instead of intention. Yet the meaning is universal, connection through awareness. Watch a resting pack, and you'll see their ears flick and swivel, even in stillness. Each twitch follows sound, scent, or emotion. It's a quiet reminder that understanding doesn't always need words. Sometimes it's enough to listen with your eyes. In the hush of the wild, a wolf's ears become both messenger and mirror, revealing thoughts too subtle for sound, carried only through the graceful rhythm of attention, trust, and unspoken peace. Along the edges of forests and valleys, wolves leave quiet messages behind, faint traces of scent carried by wind and time. These marks are not warnings of violence, they are signs of respect. When a wolf marks its territory, it isn't saying, "Stay away or else." It's saying, "Someone else already lives here. Let's not cross paths." Each pack's scent is unique, a blend of their diet, chemistry, and identity. Wolves leave these signals along trails, on rocks, and near trees, invisible fences built not with force, but with understanding. When another pack catches that scent, they read it instantly. How many wolves live there, how recently they passed, whether the land is occupied or free. Most times that knowledge is enough to prevent conflict before it begins. In the human world, boundaries often carry tension, but for wolves they're peaceful agreements written into the landscape. By respecting each other's space, packs conserve energy, protect their young, and maintain stability in territories that can stretch hundreds of square miles. Their survival depends not on constant fighting, but on knowing when not to fight. It's a remarkable form of diplomacy, one that works in silence. Wolves have learned through countless generations that peace is more efficient than war. A single scent mark can speak louder than a growl, saving both sides from harm. There's a quiet wisdom in that, the kind that reminds us that strength doesn't always show itself through dominance. Sometimes it appears in restraint, in understanding, in the simple decision to walk another way. For the wolf, marking territory isn't about ownership. It's about harmony, balance, and the art of coexisting within the endless rhythm of the wild. Among wolves, love is quiet but steadfast. When two wolves choose each other, it isn't a fleeting instinct, it's a lifelong promise. Once bonded, they travel together, hunt together, and raise generation after generation of pups side by side. Through harsh winters and lean seasons, that bond rarely breaks. It's one of nature's most enduring partnerships. What makes this connection even more beautiful is how they express it. Wolves often share food even when they're not hungry. After a hunt, one might bring a piece of meat to its partner, placing it gently at their paws. It's not about hunger, it's about care. This gesture reinforces trust, affection, and unity, a wordless way of saying, "You matter to me." Both partners play vital roles in their family's survival. The female tends to the pups, keeping them warm and safe inside the den, while the male hunts and guards the perimeter. Yet they often switch roles when needed. Their loyalty is built not on dominance, but cooperation, a rhythm of mutual respect that keeps the pack strong. During moments of rest, pairs are often seen lying close, their heads touching, tails overlapping. They groom each other, share warmth, and move in sync like two halves of the same heartbeat. Even after years together, they continue to show affection in these subtle ways. It's easy to imagine wolves as fierce and wild, but beneath the surface lies tenderness, the kind that doesn't need grand gestures to prove its depth. Their love endures quietly, patient and certain, carried through snow, hunger, and time. In the wild, where everything changes, the loyalty of a wolf pair stands as a small miracle, proof that even in the coldest places, devotion thrives. Deep in a quiet slope, or beneath a cluster of tree roots, lies something rare in the wild, a place that feels like memory. Wolves often return to the same dens year after year, sometimes for generations. What begins as a simple hollow in the earth becomes a family's foundation, a home carried forward through time. A den is usually built into soft soil, near water and sheltering trees. Inside, it's no larger than a small cave, cool in summer, dry in rain, and hidden from danger. Long before a litter arrives, the female inspects it carefully, making repairs if needed. Old bones and leaves are cleared away, fresh grass brought in. It's the same home her mother may have prepared before her, the same walls that once echoed with her own first howls. Researchers have found dens used by multiple generations, with layers of history buried inside, the remains of meals, the worn marks of paws, the faint scent of past litters. Even when not in use, wolves often visit these sites, resting near them as if keeping watch over old memories. For a species that travels vast distances, this act of returning holds quiet significance. It's proof that even the most restless creatures crave roots, a place that feels familiar beneath their paws. The den isn't just a shelter, it's a cradle of a legacy. Each spring, new pups open their eyes where their ancestors once did, in the same cool darkness, surrounded by the same earth. It's a soft reminder that home isn't defined by walls or distance. It's wherever love, safety, and memory linger. And for the wolf, that sense of home is passed not through words, but through scent, soil, and instinctive return. A newborn wolf pup enters the world wrapped in silence and darkness. Its eyes are sealed, its ears folded tight. For the first days of its life, it cannot see the den or hear the soft breaths of its family. All it knows is warmth, the steady heat of its mother's body, and the faint rhythm of her heartbeat. In that warmth, it finds everything it needs: safety, comfort, and life. The first sense that guides it is smell. The mother's scent is the pup's entire world, a map of reassurance that keeps it close, telling it where to nestle and when to feed. Even before it can walk, it recognizes her through scent alone. The den, too, becomes familiar, earthy and calm, lined with soft fur that holds traces of those who came before. In these early days, the mother rarely leaves. She keeps the den quiet and dim, nursing her young while the rest of the pack brings her food. Others stand guard outside, protecting the entrance from predators or curious eyes. Every member of the pack understands this moment's fragility, new life depending entirely on warmth and trust. After about 2 weeks, the pup's eyes open to their first glimpse of light, faint, blue, and hazy. A few days later, their ears unfold, and sound joins the world of scent. Gradually, the once blind and silent creatures begin to explore, tumbling over one another in clumsy joy. What begins in darkness soon fills with movement and sound, but that first bond, formed through warmth and scent, never fades. Even as adults, wolves remember comfort not as sight or sound, but as closeness. It's a reminder that love, in all creatures, begins long before words, in trust, touch, and the gentle heartbeat beside you. Inside the den, the world grows quiet. The last light of day fades through the entrance, and the air turns cool. The pups, full of play and nursing, start to settle in a warm pile beside their mother. Before sleep takes them, she begins to hum, a low, steady vibration that seems to roll through her chest more than it sounds through the air. It's not a howl or a growl, just a quiet, rhythmic sound meant only for them. Researchers have recorded these low hums and found that they're soothing signals, a kind of lullaby only wolves understand. The vibration tells the pups everything is safe. They feel it through the ground, through her body, through the soft fur pressed against their tiny paws. Slowly, their movements stop. Their breathing synchronizes with hers. One by one, their eyes close. This gentle hum is instinctive. Just as human mothers hum or whisper to calm a child, the wolf uses sound and vibration to create peace. It's her way of wrapping them in reassurance, a wordless promise that nothing will harm them tonight. The sound is so soft that outside the den it would blend into the murmur of wind or the rustle of leaves, but inside it's everything. Even as adults, wolves respond to certain tones with calm behavior, as if some part of that early comfort never fades. The hum becomes a memory, a rhythm of love that lingers long after they leave the den. There's something deeply moving in this moment, a creature of the wild, fierce and strong, crooning softly to her young. It's a reminder that tenderness exists everywhere, even beneath the moon, even in the heart of the wilderness, carried on a mother's breath, quiet and eternal. Across a clearing bathed in morning light, wolf pups scatter like sparks of energy. They tumble over one another, dart through the grass, and pounce on invisible prey. To the untrained eye, it's pure chaos, but to the pack, it's a lesson in disguise. Every leap, chase, and playful nip is teaching them how to live. Play is how wolf pups learn the language of their kind. When they wrestle, they're not fighting. They're testing strength, learning limits, discovering trust. One pup might nip another's ear too hard, only to be met with a sharp yelp and a quick pause, a simple correction that says too much. From that moment on, they understand balance and restraint. When they chase each other through brush or stalk a fluttering leaf, they're practicing the moves they'll one day use in real hunts. Adults join in, too. A grown wolf may pretend to flee, tail wagging, only to turn and gently pin a pup in the grass. They let the young win sometimes, offering encouragement and building confidence. Between games, the mother or father might bring a bone or feather to investigate, letting curiosity lead the lesson. Scientists call this social play, but it's more than that. It's love translated into movement. Through play, wolves pass down not only survival skills, but the art of connection. It keeps the pack close, turning learning into joy. There's a beautiful simplicity to it, the way laughter and life can share the same rhythm, even in the wilderness. Watching young wolves play reminds us that growth doesn't always come through struggle. Sometimes it comes through games, through shared discovery, and through the quiet happiness of learning beside those who care for you. Morning arrives gently for a pack of wolves. The air is still cool, the ground damp with dew. One wolf stirs first, stretching its long legs and arching its back in a slow, graceful motion. A wide yawn follows, deep and unhurried. Within seconds, another wolf mirrors it, then another. Soon the whole pack is stretching, yawning, shaking the night from their fur in near-perfect rhythm. It looks effortless, almost choreographed, as if they share a single heartbeat that knows exactly when to wake. Scientists have observed this curious behavior and found that wolves, much like humans and dogs, catch yawns from one another. It's not just mimicry, it's empathy. The closer the wolves are emotionally, the more likely they are to yawn together. It's as if yacked signals, we're in sync. We rest together, we rise together. Yawning serves no command, no direct purpose in hierarchy or hunting. It's simply connection made visible, a tiny instinctive reminder that they belong to one another. These shared gestures help strengthen social bonds, aligning the group's mood and energy before they set out for the day. It's easy to miss the beauty in something so ordinary. But in the stillness of dawn, when a pack of wolves wakes in harmony, the moment feels almost sacred. The soft sound of breath, the arch of backs, the ripple of fur, all of it moves like a quiet ritual between trust and togetherness. There's peace in that image, a family greeting the morning not with noise or rush, but with calm unity. The forest hasn't yet stirred, but the wolves already share a rhythm, one that begins with a yawn and flows into the silent poetry of the waking wild. Every wolf carries an invisible name, not spoken, but scented. To a human, the air may seem empty, but to a wolf, it's alive with stories. Every gust, every patch of grass, every passing breeze carries traces of the individuals they know. A single breath can tell a wolf exactly who has walked by, when, and how they were feeling. Within a pack, no two scents are alike. Each member has a unique chemical signature, a natural perfume written into their fur. When wolves reunite after time apart, the first thing they do isn't look or listen, they smell. A quick sniff tells them everything. You're safe, you're healthy, you've been away too long. These greetings can last several minutes, filled with soft whines and gentle muzzle touches. Through scent, they confirm identity and rebuild connection without a single sound. Scientists believe that wolves can distinguish every member of their pack by scent alone, even after long separations. Their noses don't just detect, they remember. A pup's scent becomes part of its parent's memory forever. Even the faintest trace left on a trail can evoke recognition and emotional response. For humans, memory often lives in faces or voices. For wolves, it lives in the air. Their sense of belonging isn't seen, it's breathed. This connection allows the pack to stay united, even when scattered across miles of wilderness. There's something comforting in that. The thought that to a wolf, family is never truly out of reach. The wind itself carries the presence of those they love. In every breeze that moves through pine and snow, a wolf can find familiarity, the quiet assurance that somewhere nearby its pack still walks beneath the same sky. After a hunt, when the snow is marked with paw prints and silence returns to the forest, a wolf pack gathers around their hard-earned meal. They don't feast wildly or carelessly. They eat with purpose. Every piece of the animal is used. Flesh, organs, tendons, and even bones have value. Nothing is left behind to rot unless it must be. In the cold, unforgiving world they live in, waste is unthinkable. Bones especially are treasures. A wolf's jaw is strong enough to crack them open, exposing the rich marrow inside, a source of warmth and energy when food is scarce. The sound of teeth on bone echoes softly through the air, rhythmic and steady. Beyond nourishment, chewing also sharpens their teeth and strengthens their jaws. The act is instinctive, but it's also deeply practical. Even the smallest fragments serve a purpose. Bones contain calcium, phosphorus, and trace minerals that help maintain a wolf's strength and health. By consuming them, wolves recycle nutrients back into their own bodies, part of a natural cycle that has existed for millions of years. When the meal is finished, what remains is almost nothing. A few scattered hair tufts, perhaps, or pieces too brittle to chew. What once lived now becomes part of another life, a seamless exchange that defines the wild's balance. To humans, this may seem harsh, but to wolves, it's reverence in its truest form. To take only what's needed, to use everything given, and to waste nothing, that is their quiet code. It's a reminder that gratitude doesn't always look gentle. Sometimes it's found in survival itself, in the understanding that every meal, every breath, and every life in the forest is shared. Across vast stretches of wilderness, a wolf pack travels like a living river, flowing in rhythm, steady and sure. Their paws drum against the earth in near silence, each step guided by instinct and awareness. But what makes their journey remarkable isn't their endurance or their speed, it's their compassion. When one wolf grows tired, limps from an old wound, or struggles to keep up, the others adjust. The pack slows its pace. No one is left behind. The formation shifts naturally. The strongest may take the lead, breaking trails through deep snow or tall grass. The slower ones, often the elderly or injured, move toward the center, protected and surrounded by family. At the back, a watchful wolf follows, ensuring the group stays together. There are no arguments, no commands, only understanding. Their survival depends not on individual strength, but on the rhythm of the whole. Biologists have observed this behavior countless times and found that it reflects more than strategy, it reflects empathy. Wolves seem to sense when one of their own is struggling. They respond not with frustration, but patience. In doing so, the pack's bond deepens. Their unity becomes their greatest defense against the hardships of the wild. It's a lesson quietly written into their footsteps. The distance they travel matters less than how they travel. Side by side, heart by heart, one stride matching another. In a world that often glorifies speed, wolves remind us of something gentler. True strength isn't racing ahead. It's knowing when to slow down so others can keep pace. Their movement through snow and forest isn't just migration, it's loyalty in motion, a wordless promise that no journey is faced alone. In the frozen silence of winter, when food is scarce and snow lies deep over the land, two very different creatures often appear together, the wolf and the raven. One moves across the ground with quiet strength, the other cuts through the air with sharp black wings. At first glance, they seem like opposites, predator and scavenger. But between them exists a partnership so ancient and natural that it borders on friendship. Ravens often follow wolf packs, gliding above them or perching in nearby trees. Their keen eyes can spot distant carcasses or wounded animals long before the wolves do. When ravens begin to circle and call, wolves take notice. The sound acts as a signal, a message from the sky. In return, when wolves make a kill, the ravens are welcome to feast on what remains. They hop fearlessly between paws and bones, snatching scraps of meat while the wolves eat. Scientists have observed that some ravens even form bonds with specific packs, following them for years. The wolves don't chase them away. In fact, young wolves sometimes play with them, leaping and darting as the birds swoop close. It's a strange but beautiful cooperation. Intelligence recognizing intelligence. In harsh winters, this relationship can mean survival. Wolves gain guidance, ravens gain food. Neither commands the other, yet both benefit from the rhythm they've created over centuries. There's a quiet poetry in that. Two species so different in form, united by understanding. In the bleakest season, they remind the forest that even in struggle, cooperation endures. The wolf's howl and the raven's cry may sound worlds apart, but together they form one of nature's most enduring duets, a song of survival sung between earth and sky. High above the snow, a raven circles, dark wings cutting through pale light. Its eyes scan every detail of the frozen ground below, searching for signs of movement or the still shape of something fallen. When it spots a carcass, the raven doesn't feast right away. Instead, it calls, a sharp echoing cry that carries across miles. Down in the valley, wolves lift their heads. They've heard that voice before, and they know what it means. This is how one of nature's oldest alliances begins. The raven, too small to tear into frozen flesh alone, guides wolves toward the find. It swoops low, calling again, then darts ahead as if urging them to follow. The wolves, understanding the message, adjust their path. It's not command or obedience, it's cooperation. When the pack arrives, they break through the frozen hide with powerful jaws, opening the meal for both. Once the wolves are done, the ravens move in, bold and unafraid. They pick at the remains, cleaning every last bit, leaving the snow almost bare. Both species benefit. The wolves get food they might never have found, and the ravens get their share of survival. Researchers studying this bond have noticed something remarkable. Ravens seem to remember specific wolf packs and seek them out repeatedly. Some even play with the wolves, tugging at their tails or flying just out of reach. It's as if friendship, in its own wild form, has found a place here. In a world often ruled by competition, this quiet partnership stands apart. It's a reminder that even in the harshest cold, life finds balance. One creature seeing from the sky, another from the ground. Both understanding that survival, like trust, is something best shared. In a wolf pack, feeding time is more than a scramble for food. It's a quiet act of care. After a successful hunt, adult wolves return to the den not with fresh kills in their jaws, but with full bellies. The pups rush forward, squeaking and wagging their tiny tails, and the adults lean down to share. With a gentle press of a muzzle, they regurgitate partially digested food, a warm, soft meal for mouths too small to chew. It's an ancient ritual of nourishment, carried out with patience and tenderness. What's remarkable is how they take turns. Each adult waits their moment, allowing others to feed the pups first. There's no fighting or greed, even when hunger lingers from long days of travel. Each wolf seems to understand the rhythm, a natural fairness that ensures every pup is fed, not just the loudest or the strongest. This quiet order keeps peace within the family and strengthens the bonds that hold them together. Even among adults, food is often shared in similar ways. A wolf that stayed behind to guard the den might receive a portion brought back by others. These gestures of fairness aren't calculated, they're instinctive, written deep into the wolf's nature. Cooperation, not dominance, sustains them. Scientists studying wolf behavior often describe this as empathy in action, an understanding of need and balance beyond simple instinct. It's the kind of harmony humans strive for, but rarely see so purely expressed. Watching a pack feed its young feels like watching kindness in motion. No hierarchy, no greed, just quiet understanding. In the heart of the wild, where survival rules all, wolves prove that fairness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the silent rule that keeps the family strong and the wilderness whole. For many years, people believed wolf packs were ruled by an alpha, a dominant leader who controlled the group through power. It was an image of constant challenge and hierarchy, but it wasn't true. That idea came from observing captive wolves forced together from different families. In the wild, packs aren't built on dominance, they're built on family. The so-called alpha is simply a parent, guiding through care rather than control. A natural wolf pack is a close-knit unit of parents and their offspring. The older pair, often referred to as the breeding pair, lead with quiet assurance. Their authority comes not from fear, but from experience. They teach the younger wolves where to hunt, when to move, and how to live peacefully as a group. Decisions are made through subtle signals, a glance, a posture, a gentle nudge. There's no need for constant challenge because trust has already been earned. The younger wolves, in turn, show respect by following, learning, and eventually helping raise the next litter of pups. Even as they grow strong enough to lead their own lives, they remain loyal to the structure that raised them, a structure rooted in cooperation. Elders, too, hold a special place. Their slower pace and deep memory help the pack navigate safely through familiar terrain. Their presence brings calm. The pack moves together not as a chain of command, but as a family walking in rhythm. It's a beautiful correction to an old misunderstanding that leadership must mean dominance. Among wolves, it means wisdom, patience, and the ability to hold a family together through trust. Their way of life whispers a quiet truth. Strength doesn't come from control, it comes from belonging. A wolf moves through the forest as if it were part of the wind itself. Branches sway, leaves tremble, and the faint crunch of snow fades almost before it's heard. Each step lands softly, balanced and deliberate. It's not luck or magic. It's anatomy and awareness. The bottoms of a wolf's feet are padded with thick, flexible cushions that absorb sound and shock. Beneath their fur, those pads help distribute weight evenly, letting them glide over earth and snow with near-silent precision. Even in deep winter, when frozen twigs would betray the presence of almost any other creature, a wolf's paws find the quietest path. They step carefully, placing their feet in a straight line, one print overlapping the next. This gait minimizes noise and energy, allowing them to travel long distances unnoticed. Hunters and biologists have often said they can smell a wolf before they hear it. That's how softly it moves. Silence for a wolf is survival. It's how they approach prey undetected, how they move through rival territories unseen, and how they protect their young from danger. But there's also a kind of grace to it, a harmony between body and landscape. Nothing is wasted, not even a sound. Humans often fill silence with motion or words, but wolves understand its value. In their quiet, the forest feels undisturbed, as if it trusts them. Their steps leave only faint impressions, their presence barely a whisper. To watch a wolf move through the trees is to see stillness made alive, a rhythm so gentle that even the air seems to lean in to listen. It's a reminder that power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it passes by softly, leaving only peace in its wake. Snow falls so thick it erases the world. The sky, the ground, and the air all blend into one endless white. To a human, this is disorientation, a landscape without direction, where every step looks like the last. But for wolves, even a blizzard cannot blind them to their sense of home. When visibility vanishes and wind scatters every scent, they keep walking, steady, certain, unafraid. Somehow they always know where they are. Researchers still can't fully explain this gift. Wolves navigate enormous territories, hundreds of square miles, without losing their bearings, even in complete whiteouts. Some scientists believe they use an internal compass linked to Earth's magnetic field, a biological sense called magnetoreception. Others suggest it's a mix of instinct, scent memory, and a deep awareness of subtle cues like wind direction or the slope beneath their paws. But whatever the science, there's something almost mystical about it. A wolf can leave its den, travel miles through a storm, and return to the exact same spot hours later. It doesn't hesitate or wander. It simply trusts the pull within. This uncanny sense of direction isn't just skill, it's survival. It allows them to find shelter, reunite with packmates, and lead their young safely home. Even when the world turns to chaos, their path remains clear. There's a quiet lesson in that, about faith in one's own direction, even when everything disappears from view. The wolf doesn't need to see the trail. It feels it. In the silence of snow and wind, guided by something older than sight, it moves forward, confident, composed, and certain that home still waits beyond the storm. At rest, the wolf becomes a picture of calm. Its body stretches across the ground, muscles loose, breath deep and slow. Beneath the fur, a steady rhythm moves through its chest, about 40 beats per minute, nearly half the resting rate of a human's heart. Each beat is strong but unhurried, like a drum echoing through still air. In that quiet pulse lies the secret to the wolf's endurance. This lowered heart rate allows wolves to conserve energy during moments of peace. Life in the wild demands long stretches of patience, hours of travel, waiting, or sleep between bursts of speed and intensity. By slowing its heartbeat, a wolf uses less oxygen and burns fewer calories, saving its strength for when it's truly needed. The moment it stands to hunt or defend, the rhythm quickens instantly, ready for action. Even in deep snow or freezing cold, the wolf's body maintains a delicate balance. The slow pulse keeps its core warm without waste, a natural efficiency perfected by evolution. You could say that the wolf's calmness is its armor, a steadying force in a world that never stops changing. There's something profoundly peaceful in that idea. In human life, calmness often takes effort. We meditate, breathe deeply, seek stillness. For the wolf, it's built into its being. When it lies in the snow, eyes half closed, surrounded by wind and silence, it's not idling, it's restoring. That slow, rhythmic heartbeat is a kind of wisdom, a reminder that strength doesn't always show in motion or noise. Sometimes it's found in stillness, in the patience to wait, in the quiet confidence that energy saved today will carry you through tomorrow's storm. Winter in the wilderness has its own kind of silence, the kind that softens every sound until even the wind feels hushed. In that quiet, a pack of wolves sleeps, curled close in a ring of warmth. Their bodies pressed together beneath a thin layer of snow, their tails covering noses, their ears twitching only when the wind changes. Listen closely, and you'd hear their breathing, slow, steady, perfectly rhythmic, like a single heartbeat shared among many. During the coldest months, a wolf's body enters a deeper state of rest. Its breath lengthens, its muscles loosen, and its entire rhythm slows. This kind of sleep conserves precious energy, a quiet survival strategy when food is scarce and every heartbeat matters. The cold outside doesn't wake them. Their thick fur traps heat, and their calm breathing keeps their core temperature steady through the long, frozen nights. Sometimes a pack's breathing sinks naturally, rising and falling in gentle waves. Scientists believe this synchronization reinforces social bonds, the sound and rhythm of one another's breath signaling safety and unity. It's not planned, of course, it's instinct. The comfort of shared warmth and familiar scent guides their bodies into harmony. There's a serenity in that image, wolves resting through the heart of winter, trusting the silence, their bodies in perfect balance with the season. It's the wild's version of meditation, a deep exhale after the strain of survival. Long before dawn, the pack will stir again, shake the snow from their fur, and rise as one. But for now, in that deep rhythmic breathing, the forest feels at peace, as if the earth itself is sleeping beside them, inhaling and exhaling with the same steady grace. A wolf's world is enormous, stretching across forests, mountains, and plains that can span hundreds of miles. Yet within that vastness, nothing is forgotten. A wolf remembers the bend of a river, the smell of a meadow where elk once gathered, the shape of a hill that offered good shelter from the wind. To them, the land isn't just scenery, its memory is made visible. Researchers studying wolf packs have found that they often return to the same hunting grounds year after year, even after long migrations or harsh winters. They remember where prey herds pass, where streams freeze last, and where dens have sheltered them before. Their routes aren't random. They're maps drawn in the mind, carried like stories through generations. Young wolves learn these paths by following their elders. During their first year, they walk miles in the tracks of experience, absorbing the land through repetition, scents, landmarks, the way light filters through trees. What they learn becomes instinct, and what becomes instinct turns into memory. It's how knowledge survives, even as individuals come and go. A wolf's memory isn't only practical, it's emotional too. They remember meeting places, safe zones, even scents tied to events, joy, danger, loss. Every trail carries echoes of their history. For humans, memory often lives in photographs or words. For wolves, it lives in the body, in the muscles that remember each turn, and the heart that recalls where home once was. There's quiet poetry in that, a creature guided not by maps, but by remembrance. Even in endless wilderness, they are never truly lost. The land itself is a companion, whispering the way forward through memory, scent, and the timeless rhythm of return. Wolves live by necessity, not by indulgence. Every hunt they undertake is deliberate, a balance of hunger, energy, and risk. Unlike humans who sometimes take more than they need, wolves rarely kill for sport. The chase itself costs them dearly: precious calories, time, and the chance of injury. So they move with calculation, not recklessness, pursuing prey only when survival demands it. A wolf's life is built on efficiency. They understand in their own instinctive way that every action has a price. A hunt begins when hunger grows real, when bellies have been empty too long, or when the pups in the den need feeding. Even then, success isn't guaranteed. Most hunts end in failure. Prey animals are fast, alert, and strong. A single mistake could leave the hunters too weak to try again. Because of that, wolves don't waste their effort. If they're not hungry, they let opportunities pass. They observe, they study, but they hold back. When they do bring down prey, they use everything: meat, bones, organs, even hide. Nothing is discarded without purpose. What remains after their meal nourishes the forest, feeding ravens, foxes, insects, and the soil itself. Scientists who study wolves often describe them as disciplined predators, creatures of restraint and purpose. Their hunting maintains nature's balance, keeping herds healthy by removing only the sick or weak. There's no cruelty in their kill, only necessity. It's humbling to realize that in a world where survival can seem harsh, wolves act with more restraint than many humans. They remind us that power can coexist with respect, that to live in harmony with the world is to take only what is needed and to leave behind enough for life to begin again. In the quiet moments after a hunt, when the air is calm and the pack gathers close, a small, tender gesture often appears. One wolf leans forward and gently licks another's muzzle. It's not dominance or demand. It's affection, reassurance, and the language of peace. This behavior begins early in a wolf's life. Pups, too young to hunt, instinctively lick the mouths of returning adults to ask for food. It's how they receive meals, regurgitated and warm, from the grown wolves who care for them. But over time, the gesture evolves into something deeper. As wolves grow, the same gentle licks become greetings, apologies, or expressions of loyalty. Among adults, a muzzle lick can mean, "I missed you," "I trust you," or "everything is all right." After tension, it can signal forgiveness. When a wolf returns from scouting or hunting, packmates often greet it this way. Soft eyes, low tails, and delicate touches of the tongue. Each motion carries emotion that doesn't need sound to be understood. Scientists studying wolves often describe this as social glue, a ritual that maintains harmony within the group. But beyond science, it's simply tenderness made visible. Even in the wild, where survival can be brutal, love and care still find their way into every interaction. Watching wolves exchange these gestures feels almost human, the same comfort we find in a hug or a reassuring hand. It's proof that connection transcends species, that gentleness belongs to all creatures who live and love together. In a world that often celebrates strength through power, wolves remind us of another kind, strength through care. A soft touch, a small gesture, and the simple reassurance that no one in the family stands alone. Wolf pups are bundles of wild energy, playful, curious, and endlessly testing the limits of the world around them. They tug at tails, nip at ears, and tumble into their elders without hesitation. But when they go too far, the response from the adults is never cruel. Instead, correction comes through silence, stillness, and subtle movement, a language older than words. An older wolf might respond to a pup's misbehavior with a low stare or a shift in posture. Sometimes a gentle paw rests over the youngster's back, or a light nip to the muzzle delivers the message, "Enough." The pup immediately understands. There's no growling rage, no harsh punishment, just guidance. The correction lasts only as long as it needs to, and then calm returns. Moments later, the adults often resume grooming or play, reassuring the pup that all is forgiven. This method of teaching mirrors the way wolves live, balanced, fair, and centered on harmony. Every action within the pack serves the family's stability. Anger has no place in their lessons, only clarity does. The pups learn boundaries, not through fear, but through respect and observation. They mimic the posture of calm adults, learning how to lead one day by the same quiet example. Researchers call this social correction, but it's more than that. It's empathy in motion, discipline wrapped in care. The pack doesn't suppress the young, it shapes them gently, preparing them for the rhythm of life they'll soon inherit. There's wisdom in such restraint. The wolves remind us that true guidance doesn't require force or voice, only presence. The calm authority of those who know that patience teaches more deeply than punishment ever could. To a wolf, the forest isn't a blur of green and brown. It's a living tapestry of scent. Every breeze carries messages. Every patch of ground tells a story. A single inhale reveals more than human eyes could ever notice. Scientists estimate that wolves can distinguish over 200 different scents within a single landscape, a staggering level of detail that transforms the invisible into a map. As they walk through snow or brush, wolves gather information with every breath. One scent might tell them a deer passed by at dawn. Another might carry the faint trace of a fox den beneath the roots. They can detect the presence of water before it's seen, recognize the unique scent of each pack member, and even sense changes in weather before the first cloud forms. What we'd call fresh air is to them 1,000 intertwined stories. Inside a wolf's nose, nearly 300 million olfactory receptors work together, decoding the air, molecule by molecule. Each scent lingers like memory, layered, emotional, familiar. They can tell not only who left a scent, but how long ago and in what mood: fear, calm, or hunger. It's as if the world writes a constant diary, and wolves are the few who can read it. Humans live mostly by sight, but wolves live by awareness, an intelligence that begins with breath. Their sense of smell connects them to everything: their prey, their family, their territory, and even the changing rhythm of the earth itself. There's peace in that way of living, of knowing the world not by what it looks like, but by what it feels like to breathe it in. For the wolf, scent isn't just survival. It's belonging, memory, and an endless conversation with the wild. In the language of wolves, respect is spoken through silence and posture. When a young wolf approaches an elder or a more experienced pack member, it doesn't bark or bow. Instead, it lowers its head ever so slightly, ears turned back, eyes soft and steady. The gesture is small, almost unnoticeable to us, but within the pack it carries deep meaning. It says, "I recognized you. I trust you. I follow your lead." Wolves live by these quiet exchanges. There's no need for constant dominance or display. Respect keeps order without conflict, ensuring that energy is saved for survival, not struggle. Elders, often the parents or grandparents, respond gently. They might touch noses, give a soft lick, or simply acknowledge the gesture with calm eyes. It's a brief moment of grace, a conversation carried through body and breath. Scientists who study wolves have observed that this behavior isn't fear-based at all. It's the opposite. It shows confidence in the bond. A wolf that lowers its head knows it will not be harmed. It trusts the other completely. It's humility without weakness, a quiet understanding that harmony keeps the family strong. Humans, too, show respect through small things: a lowered voice, a nod, a pause before speaking. Wolves remind us that true respect doesn't need ceremony. It lives in simple awareness, in knowing your place within something larger and honoring those who've guided the way. Watching such a moment in the wild feels like witnessing wisdom in motion. No noise, no ego, just quiet recognition. In that slight lowering of the head, the forest seems to breathe along, calm, patient, and full of unspoken understanding that even strength begins with respect. A wolf's fur is more than beauty. It's armor woven by nature herself. Beneath that shifting mix of grays, browns, and silvers lies a structure of astonishing complexity. Every square inch of a wolf's body can hold up to 30,000 individual hairs, each serving a purpose. It's a marvel of survival engineering, refined by thousands of winters. Their coat has 2 layers. The outer guard hairs are long, stiff, and slightly oily, forming a weatherproof shell that sheds snow and rain. Beneath it lies the underfur, soft, dense, and almost wool-like. This layer traps air close to the body, holding in warmth even when temperatures drop far below freezing. Together, these layers allow wolves to sleep directly on snow without losing heat, their bodies creating small pockets of comfort within the cold. As seasons change, so does their coat. In spring, they shed the heavy underfur, leaving behind tufts that drift across the wind like pale clouds, often gathered by birds to line their nests. By autumn, it grows back thicker than before, ready for the long months ahead. Each hair knows its task, growing just enough to balance warmth and movement, protection and freedom. To touch a wolf's fur, something few humans ever experience, is to feel the story of adaptation. It's not softness for vanity's sake. It's resilient spun into every strand. When snowstorms rage and icy winds sweep across open plains, wolves simply lower their heads and walk on. The storm slides off them like water over stone. Wrapped in their own living warmth, they embody the quiet perfection of nature's design, proof that survival can be elegant, and that strength often begins with softness unseen. Summer transforms the wild into a slower world. The snow is gone, rivers murmur softly, and sunlight spills through trees like liquid gold. In the heart of this calm, a wolf stretches out in a patch of warmth, eyelids heavy, paws outstretched. Around it, other pack members settle too, choosing their own small pools of light. For a while, the forest holds nothing but birdsong and the steady rhythm of peaceful breathing. Wolves nap often during long summer days, not in deep sleep, but in brief, light dozes. These moments of rest help them recover from long hunts, conserve energy, and cool their muscles. The warmth of the sun relaxes them, easing tension from miles of travel. Their bodies, built for endurance, understand balance instinctively, movement and stillness, effort and pause. They prefer open glades, riverbanks, or forest clearings where sunlight filters gently through the leaves. Sometimes a pup curls against a parent's side, tail flicking in dream, while older wolves rest nearby, half awake but calm. The air shimmers faintly with heat, carrying the soft scent of pine and grass. When the sun grows strong, they'll shift to shade, lying beneath trees or rocky overhangs where the earth stays cool. But in those golden hours of morning or late afternoon, sunbathing feels like comfort earned. There's something deeply peaceful in the sight. Wild creatures, so fierce in motion, surrendering fully to rest. No hierarchy, no noise, no urgency, just trust. The pack knows someone is always listening, always watching over. In those sunlit naps, wolves embody the rhythm of nature itself, the ebb and flow between strength and serenity. It's a reminder that even in the wildest lives, warmth and rest are not luxuries. They're part of survival and part of joy. On the open tundra or deep within the forest, paths sometimes cross. Two wolf packs, each a tight-knit family with its own territory, stories, and scars, find themselves within sight of one another. The air changes instantly. Ears lift, bodies tense. But instead of chaos, something remarkable often happens. The packs stop. They watch. There's no charge, no roar, no sudden violence, just a long moment of stillness. The wolves stand at a respectful distance, reading each other with eyes, ears, and posture. The language here is silent but intricate. Tails held low show calm. Sideways glances signal no threat. Their bodies speak softly, saying, "We see you. We mean no harm." Wolves are often misunderstood as creatures of aggression, yet much of their intelligence lies in avoiding conflict. They know that battles cost energy and lives, things too precious to waste. So instead, they rely on observation and respect. Sometimes they'll linger a minute, sometimes longer, before one pack turns and moves away, leaving the land undisturbed. Scientists have witnessed these peaceful standoffs, calling them ritualized encounters. It's a kind of diplomacy, instinctive and ancient. Each pack reaffirms its space, its family, and its place in the wider rhythm of the wild. In that brief exchange, a pause beneath endless sky, there's dignity. The forest doesn't erupt, it exhales. The wolves part ways, silent and unharmed, their tracks soon covered by wind or snow. It's humbling to think that creatures so often labeled as fierce live by such measured wisdom. They remind us that peace doesn't always come from retreat or fear. Sometimes it's born of understanding, of recognizing strength in another, and choosing, quietly, to walk away. When night settles over the wilderness, and the first star pierces the cold sky. A single howl often begins, long, low, and steady. Then another joins, rising a little higher, and another follows, weaving a different note through the sound. Before long, the quiet land fills with music. A wolf pack is singing, their voices layering in tones that rise and fall like the breathing of the earth itself. Each wolf chooses its own pitch, deliberately avoiding perfect unison. This creates a resonance, or rich, echoing sound that travels farther through the trees and mountains. Scientists believe this harmony isn't random. By varying their tones, wolves create the illusion of greater numbers, but it's also something more emotional, a kind of connection. Their howls blend, but never lose individuality. Each voice still distinct, still known. Young wolves also add their voices too, uncertain, higher, sometimes breaking like laughter in the dark. The adults don't correct them. They let the chorus flow naturally, the melody shifting with every breath. It's part communication, part celebration, part reassurance that they are together under the same sky. To humans, this sound can feel haunting, even eerie. Yet when you listen closely, it's filled with warmth. A family speaking across distance, reminding one another of belonging. When the song fades, silence returns, but it feels changed, as if the night itself has absorbed their rhythm. Wolves don't howl to fill the air. They do it to fill the space between hearts. In their harmonized voices lies a truth older than language, that even in the dark, connection is possible, and togetherness can sound like music drifting through the wild. A wolf's tale is more than just decoration. It's an instrument of grace, communication, and comfort. Watch a wolf run across uneven ground, and you'll see how its tail moves like a rudder, adjusting with every stride. Each flick helps maintain balance during sharp turns or leaps, keeping the body aligned and fluid. It's a subtle motion, unseen unless you're looking closely, but it's what allows them to move with such effortless precision through snow, stone, and forest. Beyond movement, the tail speaks its own language. A raised tail signals confidence or alertness, while one held low or tucked gently shows calm, trust, or humility. A slow wag can mean affection, reassurance, or curiosity. Wolves read these cues instantly, long before sound is needed. In this way, their tails become voices, extensions of emotion and thought, shared through rhythm and motion. When the hunt is over and the night grows cold, the tail finds yet another purpose. A resting wolf curls into a ball, wrapping its tail around its nose like a scarf. The fur traps warm air, letting each breath pass through softness before entering the lungs. Even in blizzards, that simple gesture keeps life steady within the storm. Every movement of that tail tells a story of agility, awareness, or rest. It's a reminder that in nature, beauty often exists because it must. Nothing is wasted. Every feature carries meaning. The wolf's tail, sweeping silently through the snow, is a symbol of balance in all forms: physical, emotional, and spiritual. It guides the body, expresses the heart, and protects the breath. In its quiet versatility lies the essence of the wolf itself: purposeful, elegant, and in perfect rhythm with the living world. To understand a wolf, you must first understand the connection. Every part of its life, hunting, resting, raising pups, even breathing, is shared with others. A wolf's identity is not solitary, it's woven into the rhythm of its pack. They form bonds so deep that when separated, something essential inside them begins to fade. This is why captivity, no matter how gentle or well-meaning, often breaks what cannot be seen, the heart of their belonging. In the wild, wolves live through constant communication: soft howls at dawn, muzzled touches, synchronized movement through snow. Captivity silences that world. The cage removes not only space, but purpose. Without territory to roam, without family to lead or protect, many captive wolves show signs of emotional suffering. They pace endlessly along the same path, a groove forming in the dirt where freedom used to be. Some stop howling altogether. Others refuse food or grow distant, as if retreating inward to escape the walls around them. Researchers and caretakers have observed what can only be described as depression, a dullness that settles behind their eyes. For creatures built to live in constant relationships, isolation is a wound that cannot heal. Even when paired with others, if the bond isn't natural, formed through shared experience and trust, it never fills the emptiness of a true pack. In the wild, wolves express joy through play, affection, and unity. In captivity, that joy fades into quiet resignation. Their grief reminds us that freedom isn't a luxury, it's part of what makes them whole. To love a wolf is to understand that it belongs not behind fences, but beneath the sky, where family, distance, and song come together to form the only home it ever truly needs. A wolf's face is a language of its own, soft, fluid, and endlessly expressive. Long before it howls or growls, it speaks through the smallest movements of its muzzle: the twitch of whiskers, a wrinkle near the nose, the gentle lift of lips. Each one carries meaning. Researchers have identified over 20 distinct facial expressions in wolves, each shaped by subtle shifts of muscle beneath the fur. When a wolf is calm, its muzzle softens, mouth closed, lips relaxed, eyes half-lidded. Curiosity brings a forward stretch of the nose, whiskers alert, nostrils flaring slightly. Playfulness shows in an open-mouthed grin, tongue out, ears angled sideways, a signal that says, "This is fun, not threat." Even affection can be seen there: a small nuzzle, a soft exhale, a gentle lick just below another's eye. But their faces also carry warning and grief. A low snarl, lips pulled back to reveal the curve of teeth, is not rage, but a boundary, a way to say stop without violence. And in mourning, when a pack loses one of its own, expressions grow still and vacant. The muzzle tightens, movements slow, eyes linger on what's gone. Wolves don't need many words. Their faces are full of them. This silent communication allows the pack to move and live as one, reading each other instantly through a glance. It's empathy in motion, woven into instinct. Humans have their own version of this. Smiles, frowns, the smallest shifts that reveal truth before speech. Perhaps that's why we recognize emotion so easily in a wolf's face. Behind the fur and fangs, the expressions feel familiar. Reminders that understanding doesn't require language, only presence and the ability to see another being as more than wild. In a wolf pack, wisdom isn't shouted, it's shown. When the time comes to hunt, no one barks orders or assigns positions. The young learn the rhythm of survival, not through command, but through careful watching. The elders lead with movement, not voice. Step by step, the pack becomes a living classroom, and every action is a lesson written on the land. An experienced wolf begins the hunt by reading the wind, lowering its body and moving with silent precision. The others follow, mirroring its pace, copying every shift of weight and glance. No words are needed. Instinct fills the space between them. When the lead wolf changes direction, the rest adjust seamlessly, as if connected by invisible thread. Through repetition, the young learned when to sprint, when to hold, when to encircle. They learn not from orders, but from trust. Over time, each wolf develops intuition, a sense of when to act and when to wait. Elders never scold or correct. Their lessons come through calm examples. After a failed hunt, the pack rests, analyzes without speaking, and tries again. In this way, generations refine their skill, carrying forward the wisdom of countless hunts before them. Scientists call this social learning, but to watch it is to witness grace. It's leadership without dominance, teaching without command, the kind of guidance that leaves room for growth and individuality. Humans could learn from this quiet mentorship. The wolves remind us that the best teachers don't control, they inspire. In their coordinated silence lies a profound kind of intelligence, one that doesn't demand obedience, but invites understanding. Each movement, each glance, each patient pause passes down something greater than technique, the art of moving together, bound by respect. A wolf's territory isn't about conquest, it's about balance. Unlike humans, wolves don't seek to own more land than they need. Their range shifts and breathes with the rhythm of the seasons, guided by one simple rule: take only what the land can give. When prey is plentiful, their territory contracts. When scarcity sets in, it expands. This natural adjustment ensures the survival not just of wolves, but of everything that lives beside them. A typical pack's range can stretch from a few dozen to several hundred square miles, but those numbers aren't fixed. Wolves don't guard borders out of pride, they patrol them out of practicality. If deer, elk, or hares are abundant nearby, the pack's movements become smaller, focused, and efficient. When food grows scarce, the family travels farther, reading scent trails and wind currents for signs of life. Once they find balance again, they settle back into familiar ground. This ebb and flow prevents them from depleting their prey. The land rests, recovers, and feeds again. Even rival packs respect this balance. They sense where others roam and rarely intrude unless desperate. What looks like instinct is actually a quiet form of wisdom, an understanding of enough. Humans have long measured strength by how much they can possess, but wolves measure it by how well they can adapt. They take no more than they require, trusting the earth to provide what's needed when the time is right. In this way, the wolf's movement through its territory is not domination, but dialogue, a living agreement with the land. It's a reminder that true survival doesn't come from owning the world, but from knowing your place within it. Long before spring colors the forest or autumn paints the hills, wolves already know that change is coming. Their senses, tuned to the subtlest whispers of the natural world, register shifts too faint for human awareness. A barely noticeable change in wind scent, the weight of the air, or the angle of light filtering through the trees, all of it speaks to them. Wolves sense seasonal change earlier than almost any other mammal, adjusting their lives before the world visibly transforms. As daylight shortens, their bodies respond. Hormones shift quietly, thickening their fur long before frost appears. Appetite increases, hunts grow more frequent, and travel patterns adjust to follow migrating prey. When the first true cold arrives, the pack is already ready. Their coats full, their dens repaired, their instincts aligned with what's to come. Likewise, when winter loosens its grip, wolves feel it before snow melts. They begin to shed fur weeks in advance, their movements growing lighter and more playful. The scents of the forest change, carrying the soft signatures of new growth and thawing soil, signs invisible to us, but clear as words to them. This sensitivity is more than survival, it's harmony. Wolves live so closely tied to their environment that their very biology moves in rhythm with the earth's pulse. Nothing is wasted, and nothing surprises them. There's something deeply peaceful in that, a way of existing, not by control, but by listening. While humans check calendars and forecasts, wolves feel the coming of change in their bones, their breath, their skin. They don't resist the turning of the seasons. They move with it, as if the planet itself is whispering, "It's time." And they, quietly and faithfully, answer, "We know." The first snowfall always feels like a kind of silence, soft, slow, and full of mystery. The forest hushes as flakes drift through the trees, erasing scent trails and softening the ground. For most creatures, it's a cue to hide or huddle. But for wolves, the first snow brings something else entirely. Excitement. When that first dusting settles over their world, the pack often lifts its voices to the sky in a chorus that sounds like both greeting and celebration. Researchers and trackers have noticed this pattern again and again. Wolves, quiet for weeks, suddenly begin to howl as the first flakes fall. It's not a cry of hunger or warning, it's different. The tone rises brighter, more fluid, almost joyful. Some run and leap through the fresh layer, rolling and snapping playfully at the flakes. Others stand still, heads tilted back, their voices blending into the stillness of the new season. No one can say for certain why they do it, but it feels like ritual, an instinctive recognition that the world has changed. Snow reshapes everything they know, the scent of prey, the feel of the earth beneath their paws, the way sound carries for miles. It's a renewal, a reset, and they seem to feel it deeply. In that moment, the pack becomes part of winter's first breath, howling not out of need, but connection. The snow thickens, muffling the echoes until only the shimmer of moonlight remains. Perhaps in their way, wolves celebrate what we too often forget, the beauty of change itself. To them, the first snow isn't an ending. It's the beginning of a new rhythm, sung beneath the stars in a voice that the cold can never quiet. When tension rises within a wolf pack, it rarely ends in violence. Instead, an invisible conversation begins, one made of posture, gaze, and silence. A raised tail, a lifted lip, a low growl. These gestures are not invitations to fight, but warnings meant to prevent one. Among wolves, strength is measured not by how fiercely one attacks, but by how calmly one avoids unnecessary harm. True battles are dangerous. A single bite can wound deeply, and a wounded wolf threatens not just itself, but the entire family. Survival depends on cooperation, on every member being able to hunt, travel, and protect the pups. Because of this, wolves have evolved extraordinary restraint. Disputes are settled through bluff and theater. One may bare its teeth, stand taller, or let out a short, cutting snarl. The other may lower its body, avert its gaze, or roll gently onto its back, not out of fear, but acknowledgement. And just like that, peace returns. It's a system built on understanding. Each wolf knows the rules, the signals, the meaning behind every twitch of the ear. There's no chaos, only communication. Most confrontations end before they truly begin, tension dissolving into mutual respect. Scientists call this ritualized aggression, but there's something more profound beneath it: wisdom. Wolves know that survival isn't about dominance, it's about preservation. They save their energy for what truly matters: hunting, protection, endurance. In this, they remind us of something deeply human, that power doesn't need to be loud or cruel. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to walk away, the understanding that peace is stronger than pride. In the calm after a growl, when two wolves turn and move together once more, the forest witnesses not a fight avoided, but harmony restored. If you were to kneel in the snow and examine a wolf's paw print, you might notice something most people overlook: the claws. Unlike cats, wolves cannot retract theirs. They remain exposed to the world, pressing into dirt, rock, and ice with every step. Over time, those claws tell a story. They wear evenly, smoothed by distance and the rhythm of constant motion. Small, silent testaments to the miles quietly endured. A single wolf can travel up to 30 miles in a day, sometimes more when prey grows scarce. Through forest and tundra, over ridges and frozen lakes, they move with unbroken focus. Every stride shapes them. The ground polishes their claws, rounding the tips into gentle curves, not from restlessness, but from resilience. To a tracker, this even wear speaks volumes. A healthy wolf, balanced in gait, strong in purpose. For the wolf, this constant travel is life itself. Movement keeps it alive, guiding it toward food, safety, and reunion with its pack. The land may change, but its paws know the way, carrying memory in muscle and bone. Each step erases fatigue and replaces it with familiarity, a rhythm so natural it borders on meditation. The beauty of the worn claw lies in what it represents: quiet persistence. No fanfare, no glory, no visible triumph, just the subtle mark of endurance, shaped one step at a time. In the end, a wolf leaves a few monuments. Its legacy isn't carved in stone or song, but written softly into the earth, in paw prints filled with melting snow, and in the rounded edges of claws that have touched every season. Proof that survival can be quiet, and that strength often lives in the miles no one sees. When a wolf pack reaches a river, there's no hesitation, only quiet organization. The current may rush cold and fast, snowmelt swelling its strength, but the wolves do not scatter or rush across. Instead, they form a line. The strongest and most experienced step into the water first, muscles steady, eyes fixed ahead. Behind them, the younger wolves and pups wait, tails low, watching. Then, one by one, they follow the leader's path, each paw falling where safety has already been tested. The adults flank them closely, swimming beside or just behind to break the current. Their bodies form a living barrier, guiding the smallest toward the calmer shallows. Pups sometimes hesitate at the edge, paws pressed to the muddy bank, unsure. But a soft nudge from a mother's muzzle or a low encouraging whine sends them forward. They learn by trust, not instruction. The crossing is wordless, yet perfectly timed. Each wolf senses the rhythm of the others, the push and pull of water, the pace of movement, the assurance that no one will be left behind. When they reach the far shore, they shake the river from their coats, tails high again, greeting one another with short, breathy huffs of relief. Then, together, they move on. Such moments show the true heart of a pack. Leadership not through dominance, but through care. The elders take the risk so the young can follow. No one leads for pride. They lead so all may survive. In that single act, a silent, careful crossing through icy water, lies everything that defines the wolf: discipline, unity, and the fierce tenderness of family. The river divides the land, but never the pack. They move as one, shaped by instinct, guided by trust, and carried always by love. In a clearing dappled with sunlight, a handful of wolf pups burst into motion, darting, tumbling, nipping at tails and paws with clumsy enthusiasm. Their paws kick up dust, their high-pitched yips echoing like laughter through the trees. To an observer, it looks like simple play, a carefree chase with no rules. But to the wolves, it's something far more meaningful. These joyful games are the first lessons in teamwork. Every chase, every playful tackle teaches timing, awareness, and cooperation. When a pup darts ahead, others instinctively flank or circle, learning the rhythm of pursuit long before they ever hunt. The one being chased learns just as much, how to dodge, weave, and read movement. In this way, play becomes practice, shaping instincts that will later determine survival. Unlike many animals, wolf pups don't compete to establish dominance during play. The goal isn't power, it's connection. They take turns leading and following, chasing and being chased, balancing competition with empathy. A pup that bites too hard or plays too rough is quickly corrected, not with anger, but with a soft yelp or a gentle nudge that says, "Ease up, we're in this together." Sometimes the adults join in, trotting with mock seriousness before letting a pup catch them. These moments of shared laughter build trust, turning lessons into joy. By the time the pups grow older, the skills of teamwork, patience, timing, and unity have become second nature. In their laughter, the foundation of the pack is laid. The wolves remind us that the most important skills in life, cooperation, awareness, and harmony, are often learned through play. What begins as a chase in the sunlight becomes over time the art of moving together, a lesson written in joy, not control. Inside the warmth of a den, a wolf pup lies nestled among its siblings, eyes closed, breath slow. At first it's completely still. Then a paw twitches, a tail flicks, ears move as if hearing something far away. A faint murmur escapes its muzzle, half whine, half sigh. Scientists call this phase REM sleep, the dreaming stage, and wolves, especially pups, experience it just as humans and dogs do. During REM sleep, their eyes dart beneath closed lids, their muscles relax, and their brains flicker with patterns of memory and imagination. It's the mind's quiet theater, where the day replays in fragments, the scent of a parent's fur, the warmth of the den, the chase of play, the sound of distant howls. Even in slumber, the wolf's world stays alive, a landscape of sensation and emotion woven through the night. Researchers studying captive and wild wolves alike have noted these telltale signs of dreaming, small twitches, soft sounds, and the rhythmic breathing that marks deep rest. In older wolves, the dreams may grow more complex, reflecting memories of hunts, journeys, and moments of connection. Dreams help consolidate memory, shape behavior, and soothe the mind, essential even in the wilderness. Watching a wolf dreaming, it's easy to feel a kind of kinship. Their paws move as if running across unseen fields. Their ears twitch at imaginary whispers of wind. It reminds us that even in the fiercest hearts there is softness, a private world of memory and imagination that mirrors our own. In their dreams, wolves return to the simplest comforts, the warmth of the pack, the safety of belonging, the joy of running free. And when they wake, blinking at the dawn, they carry those silent dreams with them, proof that even the wild sleeps with wonder. In the darkness of a forest or the tight passage of a den, a wolf moves with confidence, never bumping, never lost. What guides it isn't only sight or smell, but something smaller, quieter, and beautifully precise. Its whiskers. Long and sensitive, each whisker is more than a strand of fur. It's a finely tuned sensor, deeply rooted in the skin, and surrounded by nerves that feel the world like fingertips do for humans. Wolf's whiskers, especially those around the muzzle and above the eyes, detect the faintest changes in air movement. When they approach a wall, tree, or narrow tunnel, the air currents shift ever so slightly, and the whiskers register that change instantly. In this way, wolves see with touch, mapping space even in total darkness. For pups, whiskers are among the first tools of discovery. Before their eyes open, they use them to explore the den, brushing against their siblings, the ground, and their mother's fur. Every vibration tells them where safety lies. For adults, the same tool becomes essential during night hunts or when navigating through tight burrows or winter storms where vision fails. Scientists call these whiskers vibraceae, but the name hardly captures their elegance. Each one acts like an antenna, tuned to the invisible, reading the world not through sight, but through sensation. There's something humbling in that kind of awareness, a reminder that perception doesn't always come from looking harder, but from feeling more deeply. In the stillness of night, when light disappears and sound grows soft, a wolf can still find its way, guided not by eyes, but by the gentle whisper of air brushing past its whiskers, leading it home through the dark. For wolves, words are unnecessary. Their conversations unfold in silence, a blend of scent, gaze, and breath. To live in a pack is to be fluent in subtleties, to understand meaning carried on air rather than sound. Every look, every exhale, every faint trace of scent is a sentence in a language as old as the wild itself. A wolf's body carries information the way paper carries ink. Their scent tells others who they are, their health, mood, age, even what they've eaten. When two wolves meet, they greet not by sight first, but by smell. A brief sniff of fur or breath is all it takes to exchange a flood of understanding. The scent of calm, of tension, of belonging, it all lingers invisibly between them. Their eyes, too, speak volumes. A steady gaze can assert confidence, while the soft one conveys peace. Direct eye contact between equals is rare, used sparingly and wisely. Pups learn early how to read those looks, when to approach, when to pause, and when to play. Trust within the pack often passes through the eyes long before it's heard in a sound. Even breathing carries meaning. Gentle huffs and quiet sighs serve as reassurance, a way of saying, "I'm here, you're safe." Mothers often use these soft breaths with pups, calming them without a single touch. Among adults, the same rhythm builds unity during rest or tension. To humans, this communication might seem invisible, but to wolves, it's everything, an unbroken thread that keeps them connected across silence, distance, and darkness. There's a quiet beauty in this, the reminder that connection doesn't always need words. Sometimes it's enough to exist together, breathing the same air, reading the same rhythm of life written in scent, sight, and stillness. There are moments in the wild when even a predator seems to pause, not to stalk, not to rest, but simply to be. Travelers and researchers have spoken of such rare sights. A lone wolf standing beside a waterfall, motionless, watching the endless tumble of water. The mist rises, the roar fills the valley, yet the wolf does not flinch or flee. It simply stands there, its fur glistening with spray, eyes fixed on the shifting light of the current. No one knows exactly what draws them to it. Perhaps curiosity, perhaps instinct, perhaps something deeper. Wolves are naturally observant creatures, attuned to every ripple, sound, and scent around them. Waterfalls change the air itself, scattering scents and bending sound. To a wolf, this must feel like standing at the edge of mystery, where senses blur and silence hides beneath noise. But beyond practicality, there's something profoundly peaceful about the image. A creature built for endurance and hunt, taking a moment to watch the river fall, as if the wild itself invites reflection. Wolves live in motion, always guided by need, hunger, weather, safety. Yet here, in the steady rush of water, their stillness seems almost meditative. Perhaps they stand there to listen, not with ears, but with being. The waterfall's rhythm, constant and unchanging, mirrors the rhythm of life itself. Rise, fall, return. In those moments, the wolf embodies the spirit of the wilderness, alert yet calm, strong yet contemplative. It's a reminder that even in a world of survival and struggle, there is room for wonder. The waterfall roars, the wolf remains still. Two forces of nature, both untamed, meeting not as rivals, but as witnesses to the endless flow of time. As the days grow shorter, and the air turns sharp with frost, a wolf's body begins to change. The shift is subtle, a deepening of hue, a shadow woven into the fur. Their coats, once tawny or silvery in summer light, darken just enough to blend with the muted landscape of winter. It's nature's quiet camouflage, a soft adjustment that makes the wolf vanish into snow-dusted forests and moonlit plains. This transformation isn't magic, but biology responding to the whisper of cold. As temperatures drop and daylight fades, the wolf's body releases signals that alter the pigments in its fur. Each strand takes on slightly richer tones, grays deepening toward charcoal, silvers darkening to steel. Against the winter world, where snow reflects light and shadows stretch long, this shift helps them remain unseen. Camouflage is survival. When hunting elk or deer in the pale silence of winter, blending into the terrain means everything. A darker coat breaks up the outline of their bodies among trees and rocks, letting them move like part of the landscape itself. Even pups born in spring will inherit these seasonal instincts, their coats growing and changing in rhythm with the turning year. Yet there's something poetic in this quiet adaptation. The darkening fur doesn't just hide the wolf, it harmonizes it with the earth. The wild accepts no separations. Every creature changes with the season, becoming what the world needs it to be. By the time snow blankets the ground, the wolves are ready. Their breath clouds the air, their eyes glow against dusk, and their coats hold the color of winter's heart, the gray between light and shadow. It's a reminder that survival isn't only strength, it's the grace of blending in when the world changes around you. Long before a wolf is seen, it has already studied the wind. When the pack prepares to hunt, one or two wolves will lift their heads, nostrils flaring slightly, reading the air like a map. They're searching not for scent itself, but for its direction, where it flows, where it fades, and where it might betray them. Wolves understand instinctively that to survive, they must become invisible to the nose of another. And so they move downwind. Approaching prey from downwind means the breeze carries their scent behind them, never forward. A single wrong angle could give them away. The faintest hint of wolf on the air is enough to send deer or elk fleeing long before the chase begins. But wolves are patient strategists. They circle quietly, often traveling great distances to find the right position. Then, when the wind is right and the forest holds its breath, they begin. Each step is careful, deliberate. They move with the current, never against it. The lead wolf decides the path, and the rest follow without a sound, communication flowing through posture and pace. What looks like instinct is, in truth, a lifetime of learning written into their very blood. This sensitivity to wind is more than hunting skill. It's awareness. Wolves live within the elements, not apart from them. They listen to the breeze as if it were language, trusting its guidance as much as their own senses. There's wisdom in that harmony, knowing when to wait, when to move, when to let nature lead. While humans fight the wind, wolves flow with it. Their success lies not in force, but in understanding, a quiet intelligence that turns something as invisible as air into the key to life itself. To the human eye, a wolf's trail in the snow is only a line of paw prints. But to another wolf, that same path glows with meaning. Each step carries a scent, not from fur or breath, but from glands hidden in the pads of their paws. These glands secrete faint pheromones that mark the ground invisibly, leaving behind a map written in chemistry and memory. As wolves travel, their paws press this silent language into soil, leaves, and snow. The scent tells a story: who walked here, when, and in what mood. A passing wolf can read it like a note, recognizing the identity of the traveler, the direction they were heading, even subtle emotions such as stress, calm, or confidence. It's how pack members stay connected across miles of wilderness, following trails that to us would seem long vanished. Unlike urine marking, which declares boundaries, these paw scents are quieter, meant for kin, not rivals. A mother's trail may guide her pups back home, or a scouting wolf's path might help the pack trace safe routes through new terrain. Even days later, faint traces can linger, carried by moisture and temperature through the earth. This invisible network transforms the landscape into a living conversation, one where every tree, every path, every gust of wind holds information. It's communication built not on sound or sight, but on presence. There's something poetic in that. The idea that every step leaves a message behind, unseen but understood. Wolves remind us that meaning doesn't always need to be loud to endure. Sometimes it's written softly into the world, in the warmth of a paw print, the scent of belonging, and the quiet assurance that no one truly walks alone. When winter deepens and the world turns white, wolves don't shy away from the snow. They become part of it. In soft powder, where lesser creatures would freeze within minutes, a wolf finds rest. Before settling down, it doesn't simply lie still. It rolls. Slowly, deliberately, it lowers its body and twists from side to side, pressing the snow beneath it into a smooth, shallow hollow. To watch it is to see instinct shaped by centuries of survival, a simple act of grace that keeps life warm in a world of ice. This rolling motion serves a quiet purpose. By compressing the top layer of snow, the wolf creates a thin barrier that traps air and prevents its body from touching the coldest, wettest part beneath. The hollow molds to its shape, insulating heat just enough to hold the warmth of its breath and body. Once settled, it curls into a tight circle, tail covering its nose, fur rising slightly to trap heat. In minutes, the snow around it begins to melt and refreeze, forming a fragile shell that holds the warmth inside. Even in sleep, wolves remain aware of their surroundings. The rolling, circling, and nesting are done instinctively, almost artfully. When they rise again, they leave behind a perfect imprint, a delicate bowl in the snow, evidence of calm amid the cold. What seems like a small gesture is, in truth, an ancient conversation with the elements. The wolf doesn't fight the winter. It learns how to rest within it. Each roll, each curl is a quiet pact with the land, an understanding that warmth can be made from patience, and comfort can live even in the heart of frost. After the chase ends and the forest grows still again, the pack gathers around what remains of the hunt. The air, once filled with motion and breathless urgency, softens. Bellies are full, and the harshness of survival fades for a moment into quiet companionship. Then, one by one, the wolves turn toward each other, not with hunger, but with care. They begin to clean. With gentle licks and slow nuzzles, they wipe away the traces of the hunt. Blood, dirt, the sharp scent of adrenaline. A young wolf may approach an elder, lowering its head before carefully licking its muzzle. The gesture says, "We're safe now. We're family." The elder responds in kind, brushing its nose along the younger's cheek in silent acknowledgement. Around them, the rest of the pack joins in, a slow ritual that transforms the violence of the hunt into peace. This behavior has deep roots. Pups, before they can hunt, lick the faces of returning adults to signal hunger or affection. That gesture never disappears, it simply evolves. In adulthood, it becomes something sacred, a ritual of connection. Scientists call it social grooming, but among wolves it's far more than hygiene. It's how trust is repaired, how bonds are renewed after the tension of survival. In these quiet moments, the pack becomes more than a group of hunters. It becomes a family defined by tenderness. There's something profoundly moving in that. The idea that even after the rawness of life and death, care follows. The wolves remind us that love, in its truest form, isn't spoken. It's shared in touch, in closeness, in the simple act of saying, "You're not alone." Even in the wildest hearts, compassion finds its home. A wolf in motion is a portrait of endurance. From sunrise to dusk, it can travel 30 miles, sometimes more, across tundra, forest, and snow without faltering. There's no rush, no sprinting wastefully against the wind. Instead, the wolf moves with patient rhythm, a ground-eating lope that seems effortless, almost meditative. Each step falls in perfect timing with its breath, each muscle conserving energy with quiet precision. Wolves are built for distance, not speed. Their long limbs and narrow chests allow air to flow easily through powerful lungs, and their padded paws absorb shock as they run. The secret lies in their gait, a smooth trot that can last for hours. They move not in bursts, but in balance, conserving energy the way the land conserves life. Whether crossing frozen rivers or climbing ridges dusted with snow, the rhythm never breaks. To them, travel isn't wandering, it's purpose. A wolf may journey miles to follow migrating prey, check boundary scents, or reunite with a separated packmate. The distance doesn't weary them, it defines them. Movement is how they belong to the earth, tracing invisible paths between valleys, forests, and frozen plains. Even at rest, the body of a wolf seems ready to rise again, drawn by something older than hunger, the instinct to keep going. They are nomads of necessity and spirit, never wasteful, never idle. There's beauty in that kind of endurance, a quiet strength that doesn't shout but lasts. While most creatures pause when the world grows cold or vast, the wolf simply continues, each step a steady heartbeat against the land. 30 miles in a day, yet never hurried, just steady, graceful persistence. A reminder that true power often moves in silence. In the wilderness, a wolf's greatest strength isn't only its speed or teeth, it's its attention. Mid-step, it may suddenly stop, ears lift, breath stills, and every muscle freezes. For long seconds, the wolf does nothing but listen. The forest seems silent, but to a wolf, silence is never empty. It's alive, filled with whispers too faint for us to notice. The tremor of snow shifting on a branch, the soft wing beat of a distant bird, or the subtle change in wind that carries a new scent, all of it speaks. This instinctive pause, this reverent listening, keeps wolves connected to their world. When silence falls, they know it often means something unseen is near, prey pausing in fear, or danger moving without sound. They use the quiet as a guide, reading the spaces between noise the way a tracker reads footprints. The slightest shift, a breath of wind, a sudden stillness among trees can tell them more than 100 sounds. Even when not hunting, wolves listen this way. During travel, the alpha may halt and lift its head, scanning the horizon, not with sight, but with attention. The rest of the pack follows suit, standing calm and alert. No command is given, no sound exchanged, only shared stillness. It's a language of trust and instinct, a moment when the world seems to hold its breath with them. For the wolf, silence is not absence, it's information, waiting. It's the earth's way of whispering direction. And perhaps that's what makes them masters of survival, not constant motion, but knowing when to stop. In their stillness lies intelligence, and in their listening, wisdom. The forest speaks quietly, and the wolf, patient, calm, and alive, always hears. When a wolf pup first opens its eyes, the world it sees is painted in shades of icy blue. The color is bright, almost glowing, a mirror of innocence and new life. But as the pup grows, those eyes begin to change. Bit by bit, the blue fades to gold, then deepens toward amber, and sometimes darken even further to a warm brown. It's a quiet transformation that mirrors the life unfolding behind them, from curiosity to understanding, from wild youth to steady wisdom. This shift happens as pigment builds in the iris, but it's more than chemistry. It's a reflection of change, a record of seasons lived and lessons learned. Younger wolves have lighter eyes, bright and alert, often mirroring their energy and unpredictability. Older wolves, their gaze darker and calmer, seem to see not just what's in front of them, but what has already passed. Their eyes carry a depth shaped by distance traveled and storms endured. When sunlight strikes a mature wolf's eyes, the color burns like fire through amber, not harsh, but steady, like a flame that has learned to last. Hunters, explorers, companions, they see with a clarity earned through time. Those who've lived alongside wolves say their eyes never truly lose their light. It only changes tone, as if the wilderness itself has seeped in. The gold turns to amber the way summer fades to autumn, gently, without loss, just maturity. It's easy to forget that aging in nature isn't decline, it's refinement. A wolf's eyes tell that truth more beautifully than words ever could. Each glance holds both past and present, the untamed spark of what was, and the calm knowing of what remains. The wild doesn't dim with age, it deepens. In a wolf pack, leadership doesn't always look like command. Sometimes it looks like quiet respect, a space given, a need understood without words. When a kill is made and the pack gathers around it, the first to eat is often the alpha female. To human eyes, it might seem like privilege or dominance, but in truth, it's something much deeper and far gentler. She eats first because she must, because she is the heart of the pack, the one who nurses life itself. Her body is the bridge between generations. The food she takes becomes the milk that sustains her pups, the strength that guards them through long, cold nights. The others know this instinctively. They wait not out of fear, but respect. The moment belongs to her, not as a ruler, but as a mother carrying the future in her bones. Even the alpha male often steps back, allowing her to feed fully before he begins. Once she's eaten her fill, she often carries food back to the den, regurgitating softened meat for her young. It's an act of devotion, not obligation, one that echoes through every pack across the tundra and forest. This natural order isn't built on dominance or ego. It's built on purpose. Each member plays a role, and the pack thrives because they understand that survival depends on care as much as strength. The alpha female's meal, then, is a quiet ritual, a reminder that power in nature often flows through nurture. She leads not through fear, but through the steady rhythm of giving. In her feeding, the pack sees its continuity, a living symbol that leadership, at its purest, is love translated into action. In the wild, survival is rarely forgiving, yet wolves have found a way to make it compassionate. When a pack member is injured or too weak to hunt, the others do not leave them behind. Instead, they share. After a successful hunt, one or more wolves will return to the den carrying food in their stomachs, not for themselves, but for the one who cannot travel. They regurgitate softened meat beside the injured companion, standing watch as it eats. There's no hesitation, no question. Care is instinct. Scientists observing wild packs have documented this remarkable behavior again and again. Wolves with broken legs or old scars have survived for months, even years, because their families refuse to abandon them. Stronger wolves will bring them food, guard them from scavengers, and nuzzle them gently, as if reminding them that they still belong. The bond is not transactional, it's emotional. This care isn't just sentiment, it's strategy. Every member of a pack matters. the elder's wisdom, the mother's vigilance, the hunter's speed. To lose one weakens them all. So the wolves do what many creatures, even humans, sometimes forget. They help without waiting to be asked. Their compassion is built into their survival. There's something deeply moving in that image. A creature of fang and frost choosing empathy over indifference. Strength in the wolf's world is not the ability to dominate, but to protect. The pack's survival depends on connection, and connection depends on kindness. In their silent generosity, wolves reveal the oldest truth of nature, that endurance is not only about teeth and claws, but about care. They survive not just because they are fierce, but because they are loyal. In helping one another, they keep the wild alive. After days apart, perhaps after hunting, scouting, or patrolling distant ground, a wolf returning to its pack is met with a celebration that feels unmistakably tender. The moment they see one another, the forest fills with motion. Tails begin to wag furiously, bodies lower in excitement, and soft, high-pitched whines ripple through the air. There's leaping, nuzzling, licking, a joyful chaos that looks more like a family greeting than a wild encounter. Wolves, for all their reputation as fierce hunters, are deeply affectionate creatures. Their reunions aren't just displays of happiness, they're essential rituals that strengthen trust and restore connection. A returning wolf may bow slightly before being smothered in attention, its muzzle licked, ears brushed, and neck nuzzled by packmates. Even the dominant pair joins in, lowering their posture and letting out soft whimpers. For those few minutes, hierarchy dissolves into joy. The sounds that follow are gentle and musical, the same whining tones used by pups to show affection. These shared gestures remind every member of their place within the family and reaffirm that, despite distance, their bond remains unbroken. Scientists observing such scenes often describe them as emotional contagion, one wolf's joy spreading through the group until the entire pack vibrates with warmth. But to anyone watching closely, it feels like something simpler: love. When the excitement fades, the wolves settle shoulder to shoulder, pressing close, breathing the same air again. In their world, reunion is sacred, a promise that no matter the distance or danger, they will always find their way back to one another. The wild may be vast and merciless, but in that circle of fur and breath and heartbeat, home is never lost. A wolf, alone beneath the moon, lifts its head and lets out a single, long howl, a sound that rolls through the still air, rising and fading like a breath drawn by the earth itself. It carries across ridges, forests, and valleys, traveling farther than any footstep could. For a while there is silence. Then, faint and far away, another voice answers. One more joins, and another still. What began as solitude becomes a chorus, a sound bridge stretching across the wilderness, stitching the distance with echoes of belonging. To a wolf, howling is more than communication. It's connection. When separated from its pack, the lone wolf doesn't howl in despair, but in hope, to announce, "I am here." The returning calls are recognition, reassurance, sometimes even reunion. In this vast, untamed world, voices become the threads that hold families together when sight and scent are gone. Each howl carries its own tone and rhythm, unique as a fingerprint. Packmates recognize one another instantly, even through miles of air and terrain. The calls help them gauge direction, distance, and emotion, whether the sound comes from friend, rival, or kin. For humans, the sound might feel lonely, but to wolves it's sacred communication, a declaration of life in the silence of endless space. It transforms emptiness into conversation, solitude into harmony. And when the echoes fade and the night grows quiet again, the wolf lowers its head, no longer alone. The valley still hums with memory, the lingering vibration of voices meeting somewhere in the unseen air. It's a reminder that connection doesn't always need touch. Sometimes all it takes is a voice, carried by the wind, a promise that someone, somewhere, is listening. When the hunt is good and the land provides more than enough, a wolf doesn't waste. After eating its fill, it will often take a piece of meat or bone and carry it away from the kill site, trotting with quiet purpose through the trees. Once it finds the right place, shaded, cool, and safe from scavengers, it begins to dig. The hole is shallow, just deep enough to conceal the scent. The wolf lowers its head, gently places the food inside, and nudges the earth back into place. Then, with deliberate care, it leaves a faint mark, a brush of scent or paw, to remember. This act, known as caching, is both instinct and intelligence. Wolves have extraordinary spatial memory. Weeks later, they can return to the exact spot, guided not only by smell, but by an inner map of their territory. In winter, when hunger presses hard and prey is scarce, those buried meals can mean survival. Sometimes they even share their caches with packmates, offering hidden reserves to those in need. Caching isn't greed, it's wisdom. It shows restraint, patience, and foresight, rare qualities in the wild. The wolf doesn't take everything it can. It takes what it needs and saves the rest for the future. Each buried cache is a quiet promise to tomorrow, a reminder that even in the harshest landscapes, hope can be stored. To watch a wolf dig, cover, and leave without looking back is to see trust in motion, trust in memory, in instinct, in time. It's a lesson written softly into the soil, that preparation is its own form of strength, and that survival, at its heart, is the art of remembering where you last hid kindness. After rain or mud, a wolf doesn't rush to clean itself. It shakes once, sending droplets flying in a shimmering arc, then simply walks on. Within hours, when the coat dries, the dirt and debris fall away as if they were never there. The secret lies not in constant grooming, but in the perfection of nature's design. A wolf's fur is built in 2 layers. The outer coat, long, coarse guard hairs, is lightly coated with natural oils that repel water and dust. Beneath it lies a dense, soft undercoat that traps heat and stays dry even in snow or rain. Together, they form a kind of living armor, warm, breathable, and astonishingly self-maintaining. When wolves roll in the grass or snow, it's not just play. The motion helps dislodge particles caught in the outer layer, allowing their fur to reset. No soap, no effort, just the earth itself acting as a brush. As the fur dries, mud cracks and falls away, leaving behind a clean, resilient sheen. This self-cleaning ability isn't luxury, it's survival. Wolves can't afford to spend hours grooming like domestic animals. They live by movement, running, hunting, resting in the open, and their coats are made for that life. Even in the depths of winter, a wolf rises from snowdrifts without frost clinging to its fur. There's beauty in how effortless it seems, how balance, not control, keeps the wild clean. The wolf's coat reminds us that perfection isn't about intervention, but design that trusts the rhythm of nature. Where we might seek to fix or polish, the wolf simply exists, knowing that the world, if met in harmony, will always take care of what's essential. Under the heat of summer, or after a long chase, a wolf begins to pant, but not as you might expect. Its mouth barely opens, tongue only slightly visible, breath quiet and measured. There's no heavy heaving or loud gasping like that of a dog on a hot afternoon. Instead, cooling for a wolf is an art of control, a whisper of breath rather than a roar. Wolves, though close relatives of dogs, live by a different rhythm. Every action must conserve energy, preserve stealth, and avoid drawing attention. Even in exhaustion, they remain composed. Their panting is shallow and efficient, using rapid, light breaths to release heat without wasting moisture or alerting prey. Their tongues, covered in fine veins, help disperse warmth quietly as cool air passes over them. This method reflects their entire way of life, nothing wasted, nothing exaggerated. Where dogs have adapted to comfort and companionship, wolves remain tuned to survival. Their silence, even in effort, is their advantage. A loud pant could echo through the forest, revealing their position. A quiet one lets them disappear back into the landscape. When resting in the shade, you might see a wolf breathing fast but soft, chest rising only slightly, eyes half closed, calm even in fatigue. It's a portrait of control, born from necessity. There's something deeply graceful in that restraint, a reminder that power doesn't always announce itself. The wolf cools its body the same way it hunts, travels, and endures, with patience and precision. In the stillness between breaths, the wilderness listens. The creature that could shake the mountains chooses instead to exhale softly, unseen and unheard, mastering the heat the same way it masters the wild, by understanding its rhythm, not resisting it. When spring returns to the wilderness and the ground begins to soften, wolves prepare their dens, the hidden heart of the pack's life. These dens are more than simple holes in the earth. They are chosen and crafted with care, placed where the land offers safety, stillness, and light. And when possible, the entrance almost always faces south. This isn't a chance. A south-facing den catches the first warmth of the morning sun, driving away the chill of the long night. As dawn rises, sunlight spills into the entrance, thawing the air within and drying any moisture gathered overnight. For nursing mothers and newborn pups, that warmth is more than comfort, it's survival. The gentle heat helps maintain body temperature, keeps bedding dry, and discourages the growth of parasites in the soil. Wolves seem to understand this instinctively. Generations have passed down this wisdom not through words, but through choice. The alpha female often selects or digs the site herself, testing the slope, checking drainage, and sniffing the wind. Sometimes she reuses an old den from a fox or badger, expanding it and shaping it to the pack's needs. Always, the direction matters. The sun as ally, the earth as home. This small act reveals something profound about wolves. They don't just survive in nature, they cooperate with it. They listen to the land, learn from the seasons, and build with purpose. When the morning light touches the den, the pack begins to stir, pups stretching, mothers grooming, the forest waking alongside them. The world outside may still be cold, but within that sunlit hollow, life feels warm. It's a quiet reminder that wisdom often hides in the simplest gestures, like turning your home toward the light. After a passing rain, the forest drips softly, leaves trembling with silver drops, air cool and sweet. In the clearing, a wolf shakes its coat, sending a mist of water into the air. Then another approaches. Without sound or command, it begins to lick the damp fur along its companion's neck and shoulders, slow and deliberate. The gesture isn't about cleanliness alone. It's affection, comfort, and kinship woven into one tender act. Wolves have been observed licking rain from each other's coats, especially after storms or long travel. The action helps remove moisture that could chill the body, but it also carries deeper meaning. Within the pack, grooming is a form of reassurance, a way of saying, "You're safe, I'm here." When the world feels cold or uncertain, touch restores warmth that even sunlight cannot give. Mates often do this most tenderly, their movements unhurried and calm. Pups watching nearby sometimes mimic the gesture, tiny tongues pressing against the fur of a parent or sibling, learning through instinct the language of care. Even older wolves, their faces gray with years, engage in this quiet ritual, sealing bonds that have weathered both hunger and storm. To see such a moment in the wild, fierce creatures turned gentle under falling rain, is to glimpse love stripped of all pretense. It's neither loud nor fleeting. It's steady, unspoken, and real. When the grooming ends, the wolves rest close, their fur clean, their breaths steady. The rain still whispers through the leaves, but its chill no longer matters. What remains is warmth shared freely, proof that in even the harshest lives, tenderness survives. The wolves remind us that care is its own kind of shelter, built not from walls, but from touch. A wolf's voice is one of the most haunting in the wild, deep, musical, and deliberate. Yet for all its power, the wolf's soundscape is surprisingly quiet. Unlike domestic dogs, wolves rarely bark. Their language is woven instead from howls that carry across miles, low growls that vibrate through the air, and soft whines shared between family members. Each tone has purpose, no sound wasted, no voice raised without reason. Barking for wolves is brief and restrained, a sharp exclamation, often used to warn pups or alert the pack to danger nearby. But even then, it's over quickly. Wolves are not creatures of chaos or chatter. They value silence as much as sound. Their world depends on stealth, on moving unseen, unheard, and their communication mirrors that discipline. A howl, slow and rising, calls the pack home or announces presence across great distances. A growl, deep and steady, sets a boundary or signals unease. But between those extremes live the gentler notes, soft whimpers exchanged between mates, parents, and pups. These are the sounds of closeness, used to comfort, calm, and reassure. In them the wild grows tender. The richness of the wolf's voice lies not in its volume, but in its meaning. Every note carries emotion, longing, warning, affection, spoken in tones older than language itself. Perhaps that's why their silence feels so profound. Wolves know when to speak and when to listen. They remind us that communication isn't about how much we say, but how deeply what we say connects. Their voices belong to the land, not constant, not careless, but purposeful. And when the night fills with their song, it feels less like noise and more like truth carried on wind. Long before thunder rolls or lightning paints the sky, wolves already know a storm is coming. Hours in advance, their behavior changes, restless pacing, ears turning toward a wind that hasn't yet arrived. They pause mid-step, nostrils widening, tasting the air for the electric tang of change. What humans can't see or hear, wolves can feel in their bones. Their bodies are finely tuned instruments of the natural world. Subtle drops in air pressure press against their lungs. Humidity thickens the scents around them. Static electricity stirs along their fur. Each signal, too faint for us to notice, becomes part of a pattern they instinctively understand. Even a slight tremor in the ground or a shift in the wind's tone is enough to alert them. When the message is clear, the pack acts. Mothers gather pups and lead them to the den, often hours before rain begins. Hunters abandon distant trails and head for shelter. The wolves don't panic, they prepare. By the time the first thunder cracks across the valley, they are already safe, curled beneath the earth, dry and calm, listening to the storm pass above. This sensitivity isn't superstition, it's awareness, the kind humans once shared before we forgot how to listen. To wolves, the world speaks constantly in signs: pressure, scent, vibration, silence. The storm is not a surprise. It's part of a conversation they've never stopped having with the land. There's wisdom in that, to know not just the loud moments, but the quiet warnings before them. As the sky darkens and the wind stirs, the wolves wait, patient and prepared, hearing the thunder long before it begins, not with ears, but with instinct, older than memory itself. Even in sleep, a wolf never fully leaves the world around it. Watch closely, and you'll see. Its body lies still, breath slow and steady, but its eyes remain half open, faint glimmers beneath heavy lids. To the untrained eye, it might look uneasy, but this is not anxiety, it's instinct refined to perfection. Wolves rest this way often, poised delicately between dream and awareness. The wild never stops moving. Winds shift, scents drift, branches creak under snow. Each sound could mean nothing or everything. By keeping their eyes partially open, wolves remain attuned to motion and light changes in their surroundings. A sudden flicker might signal an approaching rival, a passing deer, or the quiet return of a packmate. Without needing to wake fully, they can decide, watch, wait, or rise. This semi-alert rest conserves energy while maintaining readiness. In open country or during travel, wolves take turns sleeping lightly, allowing others to sink into deeper rest. It's a rhythm of trust and vigilance, the pack breathing in unison, one ear always tuned to the forest's hum. Their eyes, gleaming softly in dim light, are like instruments reading the pulse of the wild. Every shimmer, every movement feeds into an ancient awareness that never truly sleeps. It's how they've survived through centuries, resting but never disconnected. There's quiet poetry in that balance. To rest without forgetting the world, to sleep without surrendering to stillness. Humans chase total silence to find peace. Wolves find it within motion itself. Their half-open eyes remind us that awareness doesn't always mean tension. Sometimes it's simply harmony with life's endless flow, trusting that even in rest the world will whisper what it needs them to know. In deep forests where the air smells sharp and clean, wolves often slow their pace. The scent of pine drifts through the mist, cool, resinous, grounding, and something in it seems to settle them. Trackers have long noticed this pattern. Wolves that pass through stretches of pine tend to linger, bedding down beneath the trees where the sap runs thick. The forest hums with stillness there, and even the restless find calm. Science gives some clues. The oils within pine resin contain natural compounds that soothe and steady the nervous system, affecting animals much as they do humans. For wolves, whose senses are thousands of times more refined, that calming effect is profound. The scent of resin mingles with the hum of wind and soil, creating an atmosphere of quiet safety, a place where the body can rest and the mind can release its edge. A pack might pause there after days of travel, spreading out across the forest floor, breathing deeply. Pups roll in the needles, adults stretch and yawn, the world briefly softening around them. The sharp green fragrance that fills the air becomes part of the moment's peace, not just a smell, but a feeling of belonging to the land. Perhaps they don't know why it comforts them, only that it does. Nature often whispers care through senses we barely understand. Wolves, attuned to every subtle note of their environment, simply listen. In a world defined by endurance, it's moving to imagine even wolves, symbols of strength and wilderness, drawn to serenity. The pine's scent doesn't tame them, it reminds them they're home. Among trees heavy with resin and wind that smells of earth and sky, the wild itself exhales, and the wolves rest in its breath. To watch a wolf pack move is to witness conversation without words. Every stride, every shift in rhythm speaks volumes. Wolves don't need to bark or growl to express how they feel. They communicate through motion itself. A sudden burst of speed means excitement or invitation to play. A slow, measured walk signals calm, safety, or quiet purpose. Their pace is their tone of voice. When the pack is playful, the energy changes instantly. Movements become light and erratic, quick jumps, bounding strides, tails wagging. The air fills with a rhythm of joy, and even the older wolves sometimes join in, trotting in exaggerated loops around the pups. It's a language of laughter, written in motion, saying, "We're together and all is well." But when calm settles, everything slows. Their steps stretch into silence. The pack moves like a single fluid organism, steady, patient, breathing in unison. No one needs to signal the change. It happens naturally. One wolf eases its pace, another mirrors it, and soon the entire group walks in the same rhythm, perfectly synchronized. Even during hunts, pace carries meaning. A quickened trot might alert others to nearby prey. A subtle slowdown might mean caution. The wolves read each other's tempo the way musicians read music, instinctively, precisely, and beautifully. It's this wordless understanding that defines the pack's strength. They are creatures of rhythm, listening not only to the sounds of the forest, but to each other's cadence. There's something deeply human in that, the way emotion flows through movement. Wolves remind us that communication isn't always spoken. Sometimes it's felt, in how softly we walk beside one another, how quickly we move when joy takes hold, and how silence itself can become a shared heartbeat. Sometimes the most beautiful sounds in the wild are the quietest. When a wolf is at ease, belly full, body warm, surrounded by those it trusts, it doesn't howl or growl or sing. Instead, it chuffs. The sound is soft, almost like a breath pressed gently through the nose, a low, rhythmic exhale that seems to hum with peace. The chuff isn't a command or a warning. It carries no urgency, no fear. It's the wolf's way of saying, all is well. You might hear it when pack mates greet each other after a long day, or when a mother settles down beside her pups, their small bodies curling against her chest. Sometimes two resting wolves exchange chuffs, as if to confirm, even in silence, that they are safe together. Researchers who've spent years living among wolves often describe the sound as soothing, almost meditative. It vibrates softly, like the sigh of the forest itself. Its communication reduced to its gentlest form, not meant to travel far, but to stay close, shared only between those who belong. The chuff shows that emotion in animals isn't confined to instinct, it's connection. It's the audible form of contentment, a breath that bridges one heartbeat to another. There's wisdom in such simplicity. While humans search for words to explain comfort, wolves breathe it. They don't need language to express peace. They let it pass between them, quiet and sincere. If you ever imagine a resting pack beneath the stars, you might picture it, the low sound of air moving softly through fur and night, a chuff, a sigh, a moment of stillness where nothing needs to be said and everything is understood. A wolf's jaw is one of nature's most formidable tools, capable of snapping thick bones and tearing through hides that would blunt a blade. The pressure of its bite can exceed 1,500 pounds per square inch, strong enough to crush a deer's leg in a single clamp. Yet for all that strength, the wolf almost never uses it against its own kind. Its power is tempered by discipline. That restraint defines the difference between ferocity and mastery. Wolves evolved this incredible jaw not for aggression, but for survival. They need it to break through frozen carcasses, to crack bones for the marrow inside, the most nutrient-rich food in the wild. Every bite in the hunt is measured, purposeful, and efficient, nothing wasted, nothing cruel. Inside the pack, that same jaw is capable of gentleness. Adults grasp pups by the scruff with astonishing care, carrying them as softly as a mother might lift a child. During play, wolves mouth each other's muzzles and necks, their teeth grazing fur without harm. Even in moments of tension, when dominance must be shown, they rarely bite to wound. A warning growl, a low stare, or a firm grip around the muzzle is enough to restore peace. Their strength is silent, balanced by control. True aggression, the kind that spills blood, is rare, almost taboo. Wolves know instinctively that injury threatens the survival of the whole family. There's quiet nobility in that. To possess such power and choose restraint, that's wisdom born from necessity and grace. The wolf's jaw reminds us that strength means little without understanding. In a world built on survival, they teach an unexpected lesson, that the fiercest creatures are often the most gentle, and that control, not force, is the purest form of power. When wolves feed, they do so with reverence, though not in the human sense, but through instinct shaped by necessity. Every hunt is dangerous, costly, and hard-won. To waste what the land provides would dishonor the effort and risk that brought it down. So wolves use everything: flesh, organs, bone, even hide. Each part has value, and each is consumed with quiet efficiency. After a kill, the pact begins with the organs, the heart, liver, and lungs, rich with energy and warmth. Then they move to muscle and bone, crushing through with jaws built for endurance. The bones yield marrow, a precious source of fat and minerals that keep them strong through harsh winters. Even fur and hide, indigestible to most creatures, are chewed and swallowed. They offer fiber that aid digestion and helps clean the stomach of parasites. Little is left behind when a wolf finishes a meal. If anything remains, it's often buried nearby, a cache to return to when hunger returns. What scraps persist feed ravens, foxes, and smaller scavengers, spreading nourishment through the ecosystem. In this way, nothing is ever truly lost. The wolves take only what they need, and what they leave sustains others. Their efficiency isn't greed, it's respect written into survival. Every part of life in the wild depends on balance, and wolves embody that balance perfectly. They remind us that abundance doesn't come from excess, but from gratitude, from knowing how to use what the world gives with care. In the end, their meals leave no waste, only echoes, paw prints fading into snow, bones polished by wind, and the quiet understanding that to live wisely is to live fully, without leaving hunger or waste behind. After a night of snowfall, the forest floor lies untouched, a perfect white canvas. Then, from between the trees, the first wolf appears. It lowers its head, sniffs the surface, and with a sudden spark of energy, pushes its nose into the snow, sending a puff of white into the air. Another joins, then another, and soon the clearing is alive with movement. Wolves leaping, rolling, and pawing at the snow as if rediscovering joy itself. It's easy to think of wolves only as hunters or survivors, but they are also creatures of play. Their games with snow are proof of that, light-hearted moments woven between the demands of endurance. Adults and pups alike join in, chasing snowflakes, pouncing on invisible shapes beneath the surface, or tossing clumps with their noses as if sharing a private joke. For a few minutes, the seriousness of life fades, replaced by laughter written in movement. Play serves purpose, too. It strengthens muscles, sharpens coordination, and nurtures bonds that will matter on the hardest days. Wolves learn trust in these moments, reading each other's cues, taking turns, knowing when to push and when to yield. Yet beyond all that, play keeps their spirit alive. Even in the coldest lands, they find warmth in motion. When they finally settle, the clearing bears the marks of their joy. Paw prints, divots, and trails etched in spirals. The wolves curl together, breathing softly as the flakes continue to fall. Around them, the world is still and white again. There's something beautiful in their simplicity, the ability to pause, to play, to find wonder in what others endure. Even in frost and silence, they remind us joy is a kind of survival, too.